I think he accepts his role as that little. I hated to say that word, the little word, as that punchline. I still owe Chloe Zhao my bill for therapy because it was a very emotional movie. So
Oh,
she
man.
needs to pay for some of my sessions that I've gone through.
Welcome back, everybody, to another great episode of Banter on the Rocks. Today is Monday, January 12th, and if you're new here, welcome to the show. And if you've been with us each and every week, thank you for the continued support, and make sure you follow and subscribe so that way you never miss a weekly drop. And on today's episode, we're going to be diving into a few things, our latest banter takes, recap of wild card week for the NFL playoffs, and a look forward at the divisional round, and some Golden Globe recap. As always, we're going to be bringing you some real talk, honest reactions, and plenty of banter along the way. All right, so let's get into it. And as we do every single week, we're kicking things off with our banter drinks of the week and what we're sipping on, why we chose it, and how it's feeling our energy for today's show. Um, I will get us started. I am having an IPA, hazy IPA,
Okay.
and this is a bit of I'll call it my good luck charm so
Yeah.
far. Candlestick Chronicles. We're bringing it
Okay.
back to the championship, pedigree
Yeah.
stadium where we won a bunch. So it's actually very tasty, not just the beautiful can itself, but I do like it a lot. And I will shout out, it's made by Cooperage Brewing Company, Candlestick
Okay.
Chronicles.
Nice.
Yep, love it.
Oh, it's good.
It's really good.
Yeah. I took a page out of your book, Tim. I
Love
went to
it.
the store and I picked up this. So this is a
Ooh.
Maui Wowie IPA Altamont Beer Works. So I've only had one so far during the weekend. This is my second one and it's a good beer. It's not bad. So saw it, it like stuck out. I went to Whole Foods. I was picking stuff up at Whole Foods, making a return to Amazon, and it was just there. And I was like, "Ooh!" I'm like, "You're just calling my name," and I just had to pick it up. So, uh, good beer.
I love
I,
that.
yeah.
Altamont's up here. It's a
Oh, okay.
Bay Area brew. I see that one all the time. I've tried it. I
Oh yeah.
like it.
Yeah.
They also have a Mac Dre beer.
Oh,
That
okay.
is a
Nice.
really cool can.
Okay. I haven't seen
There's
that one. That wasn't at our Whole Foods down here, but maybe up north it's probably in a lot more Whole Foods.
Yeah, no, but great choice, my friend.
Yeah. So, um. But yeah, that's our drinks of the week. But we'll get it right into our banter takes. And as always, our banter takes are our hottest takes of the week. These are takes we're going to give each other. We haven't seen these beforehand. We don't prep each other. We don't compare notes. And we won't pull any punches. We're going to speak what comes just into our mind and have that discussion, real-time reaction. So we're going to get into it. Tim sent me his. Um, or my first take. So my take, giving British announcers a bigger role on U.S. national broadcasts would intensely make games feel bigger and expose how stale American commentary has become. Yeah, I think it'd be very interesting to see, and I think what they need to do with this, because you showed me, I saw the video you sent to me of British announcers announcing the NFL playoffs. I forget which game it
Mhm.
was exactly, but how much they were into it, I think it just is totally different than what we've seen from some of our US announcers that we've had. Some of them are great, some of them just get very stale. Some of them are just all over some certain players that just get annoying even when they're not playing. They still talk about this one to two players in the NFL. And I think British announcers have always been good at many sports, even like during the Olympics, British
Mhm.
announcers in soccer, you have to be quick in soccer because they're passing the ball a lot. It's a quick game. So, the memory they have, the knowledge they have of the sport, it's so great. And then how enthusiastic and how much they get into the game brings so much energy to us watching, across the pond, you could say, the Atlantic. When I watch any British game, EPL game, even Spanish division game, they're so great because the announcers are so amazing. They're so, committed to the game, committed to these teams, and I think what they would do, they would sort of embarrass a lot of our announcers here in the US, part of NBC, Fox, Peacock, all of them. I think they could take a lot of jobs here, and I think a good way to sort of try this out and sort of see how it goes is next year, when we have the international games, have international announcers announce during the big streaming for us, Yes, give them their what is it? Like B something sports, BMT sports, that European channel where there's a lot of soccer, those announcers, put them on, Fox as well, and let's just see how it goes. Take a shot on it. Like I say, what's it gonna hurt? If it doesn't work out well, hey, we tried something. It shows that you guys are being innovative and trying to think outside the box, and just keep it fresh.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I love the direction that you took this take right here, John, because
Hmm.
that's exactly it. If we're going to be emphasizing more international games going across
Hmm.
the pond, like you said, and having, at least two,
Hmm.
games in Britain itself, I think that, it's something worthwhile to kind of
Hmm.
look into and having some British announcers give it a go. And the gentleman, in the clip that I had sent, his name is Will Gavin. He's with Talk Sport.
Hmm.
And the dude is just a bundle of energy, and I love it. And this is honestly, this take, it takes me to a little bit of recency bias of
Yeah.
myself. I've been binging the hell out of Ted Lasso in the last week, and
Okay.
I'm a tremendous fan of it. And just their commentary is
Yeah.
fantastic. And then having that pop up on my feed, it was a must share. And I feel like the way he called it, I think it was a touchdown pass from Purdy against the Eagles this
Hmm.
past Sunday, and it's just a different
Yeah.
level of energy. It's a different take on things, and it seems like he's well equipped to announce an
Yeah.
NFL game. He's very familiar with the sport,
Hmm.
and you know coming to on the other side with some, I guess, stagnant nature, people talking about just how overemphasized the love of like Tony Romo has for Mahomes or Josh Allen. People were
Uh.
absolutely grilling Tony Romo this past week with the Jags and Bills game. I didn't have a chance to watch a lot of it, but I definitely will take their word for it because we've talked about
Hmm.
Romo in particular on the show and how his fanboyism for certain quarterbacks on certain teams. And I think that it's totally there. It sounds oftentimes very unprepared. So the easy thing to go to is just, oh yeah, let's talk, about here's a guy, Josh Allen, that's Collinsworth.
Yeah.
But it's just so easy for them to go back to, but and it can sound stagnant. It just gets
Hmm.
old. It's like people would rather watch in mute at times, and
Yeah.
it's just a big bummer. But I just feel like mixing it up a bit would be honestly a good thing, and maybe put some of these American commentators in check.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it'd put them on check. I think it would sort of help them get out of their comfort zone and just some of that stagnant type of announcing they do. Like I say, I mentioned having, British international announcers, have them paired up with someone, have Tony Romo paired up with, him.
Mhm.
Have Chris Collinsworth, because that's another name that always comes up of him really being so biased towards QBs and especially some of his favorite QBs, not to name names, Patrick Mahomes, always being talked about no matter what. Even when he's not playing, he'll probably bring him up two times, that's the over under. So it sort of let's try something different because a lot of people have noticed it. Like I said, you've seen a lot of the comments. I did sort of watch that Jaguars game, but I sort of watched it the way you said. I watched it on mute. You know, the kid was playing, walking around. We were cleaning, making food. So, I'd always just look up to watch the plays because I didn't really care about the announcement because like I say, Tony Romo has been an okay announcer at times, some of the stuff he has, but sometimes I'm just not that interested in hearing him. And like I say, you got to bring that sidekick, and his sidekick usually doesn't help him. So some of these international announcers, broadcasters could do very successful out here, and it's something maybe they should look into. And it brings that international fandom as well because some of these announcers have a fan following, people that like listening to them, and they may want to watch games that, NFL games that they're announcing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I just again brings like a different view of things. And quite frankly, I think it would be good for, an international stage. You like,
Hmm.
the emphasis of, having, I guess, because we're talking about, British announcers get into it. Maybe people of Britain will be like, wow, it's diversifying the
Hmm.
way that we can announce sports. This maybe can be on a more broad scale. Think about
Yeah.
the NBA. Think about, hockey. Hockey can be announced maybe kind of similar to the way soccer could be because of the
Hmm.
up-tempo pace, the
Yeah.
constant rolling over the time. I just think that the mix would be fantastic. So I totally agree with you on this
Hmm.
take. Um, and yeah, even having him pair up with a guy like Tony,
Hmm.
maybe he could bring a lot more out
Yeah.
of him. I think him constantly saying, Tony Romo in a British accent would be pretty badass. Like, yeah,
It would
just
be.
say it again. Yeah, I
Uh,
think it would be great.
Yeah, I think the conversations that would come out of it and just some of the stories, because sometimes some of these announcers about storytelling, going back to the past, and it's sort of, there's a lot of history in sports in Europe, that these announcers know about from soccer, from other types of sports that, could sort of start bringing a sort of mixture of just sports fandom and not just one specific sport. Because, like I say, we're big fans of many sports and all sports. I think we'll watch any sport possible when we get the chance to, from baseball, hockey, soccer, football, basketball. We'll watch WNBA, tennis, whatever's going on. We've talked about Wimbledon before, golf, so it sort of brings that to the mix, which would keep me interested because, like I say, sometimes some of these football games, like today, was a little stale for a bit. And when you get not interested in the game, you want to hear some great stories, bring it back somehow. And I think British announcers, along with some of our US announcers, could do pretty well with that. And just seeing their interactions would be cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, because one person I will shout out that is American is Tom Brady. I feel like he's done a fantastic job this NFL season. I really enjoy listening to his commentary. He announced the Niners Eagles game last night. I
Hmm.
feel like that was, there were certain points where it was pretty beneficial. He talked about, throwing it downfield on really windy games, how you want to position the ball. You don't
Yeah.
want it floating up because then it's just going to go with the wind even more. So you want to, have like a backward C is what he was saying when you hold the football and throw it. I feel like that commentary, along with, stories that, could be brought up in certain situations or memories, I feel like that's the biggest benefit, maybe because, you know, Tom might be a little bit better than Tony because he won
Hmm.
more. So, that could help. But yeah, I don't know what's going on with Tony. He was good like maybe the first season or two because, it seemed like the commentary's bring was kind
Hmm.
of innovative and new. He's just gotten so stagnant, and I feel like he's just less prepared for games. So why not bring a different accent, a different spice
Hmm.
to it, and I think it would be fantastic. And then also, even it doesn't even just have to be British announcers. It could be Spanish, as well.
Yeah.
Like obviously you have to know the language, but even listening to it, even if you don't know a lick of Spanish, it
Yeah.
could be honestly kind of fun because the excitement level
Yeah.
of it all is tremendous. I get a kick out of I don't know his name. I know he's a sideline announce or sideline reporter for the NFL via ESPN. In his interviews with Aaron Rodgers are fantastic. I think after the Ravens
Okay.
game, he was like, "Where's the Aaron Rodgers was like, where's the tequila?" And there it seemed like they had good camaraderie. So
Yeah.
it's kind of good. I just think that diversifying the broadcasting game, I don't know, might be necessary going forward. Just spice it up a little bit.
Yeah, and I think it's for a lot of sports, because when you're sort of mentioning the Spanish announcers, thinking about it, when I watch like MLS soccer,
Hmm.
announcers are into it, but I just don't feel the same enthusiasm that I do like if I would watch it on Telemundo or
Hmm.
Univision. Those announcers, for some reason, like with and especially like with the World Cup coming up. Yes, NBC, Peacock, or whatever stations are carrying the World Cup. A lot of people watch it, but honestly, us that are mixed race, we understand Spanish to speak Spanish. We're gonna go to Univision. We're gonna go to Telemundo. We're gonna go to all these other Spanish broadcasting because of the announcers. It's the same exact game, but the announcers are what make the game so much greater. I remember watching the World Cup final, here in Cali. I think it was like 7, 6, 7 a.m.
Hmm.
And I was watching it, in Spanish because it was just so much better. And like I say, nothing against those U.S. announcers. I think they do a great job, but I think they need to find a way to bring that energy, that enthusiasm, because it's really what catches us, some of the catchphrases, how when there's a goal, how you sort of put so much into that goal sound, the goal call. It goes a long way. So, like I said, I think MLS maybe needs a little bit of a change, in this part as well.
Yeah, absolutely. In the way of the world now, one thing that I kind of think about is, we're less inclined to watch cable TV. So people miss out on a lot of things that, could be brought up in talk shows, things like that. And, coming along with that is, obviously TV personalities.
Hmm.
We see a little bit less of it. Obviously, we have people like Stephen A. Smith or, Shannon Sharp that, bring, a different, level to it where, we are familiar with them. But do you feel like that has kind of played a bit in some of this? Like, for example, Dan Patrick. I know we talked a bit about him earlier today. He was a
Hmm.
huge,
Yeah.
part of Sports Center growing up.
Hmm.
He then turns into, doing, I guess, a little bit of reporting, announcing, for NFL
Hmm.
games, and he's just kind of enjoyable to listen to.
Yeah.
Do you feel like some of it, like maybe not following along with a person's career, might play a factor into it, or maybe not as much?
I think it could. Um, yeah, I think it could go both ways. It just depends on who it is. Because like I say, someone like Dan Patrick, it's someone I remember in ESPN, and now what he's doing, his reporting was great, and I think a lot of us watched him for that stuff. So I think at times it could, sometimes it might not be as great though. I think it won't really matter.
Yeah, I guess it's like transitioning over from, doing a broadcast with a, like a TV talk show. It is a little different. But yeah, just kind of thought about that. And I'm glad
Yeah.
you brought up the Olympics too, or World Cup even, because then we get some announcers that aren't really used to it at
Hmm.
times and are there for, a game or two,
Hmm.
to announce. And, that it's kind of fun that way.
Yeah, no, it changes it up. It gives you a little mix of something else, and sometimes that's just all you need. It's just a little change. Like we're not asking Tony Romo to change everything about him. He already changed his face a lot with a lot of the Botox he got. He's looking very plasticky, rubber or leathery. But it's like, but we need something different every now and then. Don't just stick to the same old things. Same with Chris Collinsworth. He does well at times. There's at times I don't mind listening to him, but then there's a lot of times it's just very repetitive, and always saying the same things and his little biases, which get me. So it's sort of like get away from the QBs and being on top of Patrick Mahomes. go to a different QB, focus on the QBs there, really learn about them, investigate, read into them and know different stats about them, not just your top two favorites.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Tony Romo's I guess, whatever he's getting with his face. It reminded me a lot of Tim Allen in Christmas with the Cranks when he like just gets way too much
Yeah.
Botox and he can't even like eat or swallow anything.
Uh,
And another one is I don't think it was yeah, I don't think this was announced at like the awards over the weekend with the movies, but I saw somebody make a joke about how Leonardo DiCaprio's face just keeps getting wider. I can't unsee it. It just
it, it could be.
same thing with Tony.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's
Uh,
whatever's in the Botox.
when I think of Tony Romo, I think of Just Go With It, the one movie with Adam Sandler, and
Oh
in the
yes.
first scene with the guy with the Botox, like, barely what is he?
You got a little more work done, huh? Just a little bit, just tweaking. Maintenance. I just want to stay in the game, Danny. I don't want to hit home runs, just some singles. That's all.
You gotta stop, though. I'm
Yeah,
telling you. Do you have
look,
any feeling in your face?
just in this one spot right here, and then from the eyebrows down, dead.
Is that a car alarm? He's laughing. He's laughing.
That's
He's
what
mumbling.
yeah, that's sort of what he looks like.
So
Sorry,
good.
Tony, we're not trying to be mean, but
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
uh,
we'll talk about you a little less if you stop, fanboying.
yeah. But yeah, well, we'll see where announcing sort of changes because, like I say, I think that video's gotten a lot of views. I think a lot of people are going to be talking about it and how it could make a difference here in the States, and sort of how to bring an international flavor to not just football, but a lot of sports.
Mhm.
So I'll send you one.
All righty. Got my take here. The 49ers may have fumbled the bag when they left Candlestick for Levi Stadium. Building the stadium and practice facilities next to an electrical substation has fueled rumors that EMF exposure could be impacting player health, weakening tendons, and contributing to the unusually high number of injuries the team has dealt with since the move. Coincidence or self-inflicted home field disadvantage? Yes, completely agree. This is a huge issue, or yeah, I'll call it an issue, and also kind of a low-key conspiracy that I think a lot of people are buying into.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of injuries that the Niners are just continuously going through is absolutely outrageous. And it's not just, anything from small, soft tissue injuries like a hamstring, we have plenty of those. But it's just the Achilles ruptures. George
Mm-hmm.
Kittle this past Sunday, tore his, previous to that, Bosa tore another ACL. The brutal injury with Fred Warner, you name it, it goes on and on and on, and it's season after season where it feels like our window is just constantly affected by injuries.
Mm-hmm.
And, kind of a little bit more of the details regarding this electrical substation is their practice field sits only a matter of, a few hundred feet from
Yeah.
this, um, you know, I guess pretty large substation. And, the theory behind it is that when you're getting, I guess, EMF levels that are really heightened, I think normal is like less than one or around one,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm not mistaken. I think levels around the 49ers facility are like exceeding 20 at times, or
Mm-hmm.
in
Okay.
within
Yeah.
a consistent range, I think of like 3 to 8. And it's like triple, quadruple, 8 times more than what it should be. And with the EMF, those heightened things, I guess it dehydrates your body at a cellular level, which is, weakening players' tendons, connective tissues, and just leading to a higher rate of injury. It's been, often talked about where, hey, don't buy a house next to an electrical
Oh yeah.
substation because of things like that, heightened risk of, people always bring up cancer, things like that,
Hmm.
or, if you're living near where they tested for nuclear bombs back in the day. That's another one that's, talked
Uh,
about, or, there's islands that are forbidden because of things like that.
yeah.
But, just the way that this is going, pairing the two together, the difference between what happened at Candlestick, it just seemed like this is just an anomaly for the 49ers. It's
Mhm.
outrageous at this point.
Yeah, no, it's crazy that it's crazy to see how close they actually are to this substation, and it's just sort of like, why? Why do that? Because the way I think of it, from what I've read, it's like really low frequency. So, it's something that can't do damage, but it's sort of like what you say. People tell you not to buy a home near that because the risk of cancer. That's always one of the rumors, one of the conspiracies about this. So, these players are living at these fields, because they're practicing 5 to 6, even 7 days a week during the season and playing games there. And, if these tendons are sort of getting weak because of it, we're not saying these are causing the tears, but they're getting weakened, and a weak tendon, you're gonna get more injuries. So it doesn't make sense, because when I read into it, I was like, hey, a team wants to move to, Chernobyl. Chernobyl has a lot of great land, and they'll probably give it to you at like pennies to the dollar, but it's sort of like you're next to, a nuclear zone. You're gonna come out all messed up, and who knows what type of effects are gonna take on you're gonna get. So it's sort of like, yeah, this probably was a perfect place for the 49ers to go because it was probably cheap, but it's like, did they not look at what the possible consequences of being next to that electrical substation was going to cause the players? And they just thought about bottom line, they just thought about money, cheap, we can make the best stadium. And now there's all this controversy. I have read some doctors have said that this is baseless claim, a Bay Area doctor. This is 3 days ago, saying it's a baseless claim that 49er injuries are caused by EMF from the substation. But from the looks of it, they have so many injuries. And uh, Daily Mail, like I say, I can't say how accurate Daily Mail is, but I've heard of them a lot. The team has said that over 40 major hamstring or calf tears um, have happened every season since moving to Levi Stadium. So 40 hamstring or calf tears. Those are hamstring injuries are horrible. Calf tears are also just as bad, and that happening 40 times every year, that's your whole team pretty much, plus your practice squad.
Absolutely. Yeah. Jair Brown's another one who pulled a hammy in this
Hmm.
game. He's a, huge impact player for an already decimated defense.
Yeah,
And kind of looking more into it regarding those EMF levels, I guess there's claims of it being consistently around 8.5 mg. Sorry, I'm saying mg because I don't know the exact scientific term of mg. But and then there's also other claims of it being 13 to 21. They're saying an average range is 0.5 to 3 for most US homes.
yeah,
So obviously this is very heightened. Um,
yeah,
and yeah, the soft tissue injuries are just
yeah,
brutal because they, like you mentioned, like, anything from a hamstring even, that's in NFL terms, like you're missing 2 to 3 games at a minimum usually.
yeah,
And it can get worse if you come back too soon. So
yeah,
it's like it's absolutely brutal, man.
yeah. Yeah, it's brutal, and that's just with a pull. A hamstring tear, you're out for the year,
Oh yeah.
So it's like it makes a big difference, you know. The number of injuries the 49ers have had year after year, it's unfortunate. And yes, this is very little facts, but the conspiracy is looking correct because, like I said, there's just so much evidence to pointing to it. All those metrics on MGs of what it should be in a home. I remember when I was in high school, or I don't know if it was high school or college, but I remember them saying it's like never have the laptop on, your lap when you're doing work because that
Mhm.
electrical could sink down to, your joules and affect your reproduction. So it's
Yep.
sort of the same thing. Like, why are we having these professional players that we need to be healthy work directly next to a power plant that puts out so much more energy than a laptop, you know? It's sort of in that same range.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, and I'm looking here where um over the past decade, like Achilles and patellar tendon tears
Hmm.
have occurred more often in the league, with I guess 7 to 8 such ruptures are occurring on average for the 49ers. 2 to 3 is typical around the league. So it's far exceeding.
Yeah, almost
And
3 times.
and it would make sense that, a lot of these players who have been who have had longer exposure to this, George Kittle's
Mm,
played his entire career with 49ers,
yeah,
Wilkes has played his whole career with the 49ers, Warner's played his whole career with the 49ers. Those are just to name three. It's like, dude, like just long-term exposure to it,
yeah.
could be playing a factor as well. Like, I guess to get really sciencey, I wonder what, like how long it can dehydrate your cells. Like, how long do you have to be away
Hmm.
from it? Does it regenerate quickly? Does it not? Like, are you just, like clearly, they can go from a practice field, let's say Thursday afternoon, play Sunday, and it's still an issue. So
Yeah.
it's certainly longer than just a matter of days.
Yeah, no, it's a matter of days. I'm looking at looking at some stats because one player I'm curious if they've done a little bit better. Uh not as much, but he is also older. Armstead for you guys. When he
Oh
was on
yeah.
the 49ers, he had a great, early years, but then I think there was a lot of injury seasons for him. And I saw him because I was watching the Jag games and I saw him on defense. I was like, he looks like he played quite a bit of games this year. Like I say, I would need to look into it a little bit more, but has that change sort of led him to just be healthier and maybe last a lot longer than NFL than have a shortened career?
For sure. Yeah. No, I think at this point we just need one of those German doctors to get like a special license here and at the facility to inject like that what is it, the platelet rich plasma
Yeah,
shots that you I guess are tough or you
yeah.
can't really get because it's against the law here in the States. But famously like, anybody from Kobe to Christian McCaffrey have gone to Germany to receive
Hmm.
such ordeals. And it worked
Yeah.
out pretty well for Christian. Yeah, knock on wood. Jesus too. But it's effective.
Hmm.
It's but man, yeah, no, it's brutal. I definitely feel like this is a topic that they shouldn't let go. Obviously, you're not going to move the electrical substation, but I don't know, find a different place to practice.
Yeah, it's maybe create a practice field somewhere else that isn't next to the stadium. You don't always need it next to the stadium. Build the state-of-the-art practice stadium hundreds of miles away, or maybe do that in San Francisco, bring some of it back to the SF and not all in Santa Clara. Um, But or find technology that you build an indoor type stadium that you could sort of block some of those waves and not have as much processing inside, of their dome practice field, whatever. But yeah, like I say, I think what this will sort of do, I think they probably will look into it because it's sort of they have to avoid any other NFL team doing something like this because, like I mentioned, you know it, some of these teams are trying to move. Some of these stadiums are getting really old, and you're going to need new ones. And I can only imagine land by some of these power plants and electrical plants are probably a lot cheaper than prime location areas where it's very busy inside a city. And some of these owners, I think there's going to be a lot of pushback on using tax money that they're going to look for these deals and cut corners. And their solution might be let's just build next to this power plant. It's okay if it blows up because we got insurance on it. We're not going to care if it's Chernobyl 2.0. We'll
Mhm.
be fine. We got insurance. We'll get paid out for everything. All they care about is getting money, revenue in, and so I think they probably will look into it because even though there's people saying it doesn't really connect, there's a lot of conspiracy. Everybody's talking about it, and it's tinfoil hat time with this conspiracy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, no, get them out. It's necessary. The one thing I was also looking at, I have a random comment on it, but I'll
Hmm.
start with this one. The Great America Park that's on the other side of Levi Stadium there. It's been long rumored that it's going to close. I guess that there's a land lease regarding it, and they're saying that it will close permanently around the 2027 season.
Hmm.
So that I believe is on the opposite side of the stadium, so away from this electrical force field.
Hmm.
Why not, why not just put it where drop zone is and have a little field inside of there, players could take a break, go on a ride, come back,
Yeah,
maybe morale might go up quite a bit too.
it could
Morale's
be.
good, but could go up even higher, put it in the theme park.
Yeah,
Why not?
it could, keep some of those rides there, have some engineers continue to maintenance it and let players ride it, after, have them do like the ones that have a bunch of loops. If they have a bad practice, all right, you guys got to ride this 4 times in a row and not yak. Every time you yak, it's another round on the roller coaster. But yeah, like I say, they're moving. Could be lease reasons. Maybe they've had some experience with the power plant sort of close in some of these high levels that they're sort of like it's just not beneficial. It's probably not safe. How many of their workers maybe have gotten cancer because of working there so many years? Who knows? So I think it'd be a good idea. I don't see 49ers moving anytime soon. I don't know how or ever at all. I think they'll be there for the long haul, so sort of figuring out what to do to sort of nip this rumor. And like I say, I think you came up with a solution. Build a practice field somewhere a little further away.
Yeah, in I'm gonna call cap on movies like that include Electro, Captain America, and the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
I think we've been lied to because I think part of how they got big was through electric, components being zapped, specifically with Electro. That
Hmm.
guy had a, huge volt of energy going through him. And they became superhuman that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, bullshit. It does the opposite.
It does, yeah.
Maybe Judd York was thinking, hey, we'll all become Electro if we
Yeah.
practice here.
They're all going to be the Hulk, get muscles, not be
Yep.
able to get through that O line. That defensive line's just going to get through every O line. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I don't think it's the electric. I think it's more the gamma radiation. So I think
Yeah.
if you guys were next to a power plant, I could see that happening. You guys all turning blue, shooting lightning, or turning red when you're angry after a missed, field goal. Brock Purdy, or not Brock Purdy. Your old kicker. I'm already
Oh, Moody. Yeah, we haven't talked
Moody.
about him in a long time.
Jake Moody, if he was exposed to those gamma rays and that radiation, he probably would have became the Hulk and started hitting, field goals and tackling people.
Yeah, absolutely. Instead, he goes and tries to tackle somebody and he like nearly, breaks his leg doing it.
Yeah.
Missed some time for that. Just brutal. Just
Yeah.
brutal. Yeah, maybe it's just more of like the super soldier serum that did it versus, anything electrical.
Yeah.
But yeah, just had to call Cap on that.
Yeah, no. Electricity doesn't work. Try spiders next if you guys any team that tries it, let
Yeah,
us know how it goes. Get bit by
better.
radioactive spiders. Let's see if that helps you guys get a little stronger, more agile like Spider-Man. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what other data we get. I think there will be more studies done on this, looking at electrical readings throughout, the practice field and looking at all the injuries a lot closer. So I'm excited to sort of see what we get from that.
Absolutely. Agreed. Yeah, let's see where this topic goes. Hopefully, we don't let it go. It's for us 49ers fans.
Yeah. All right. Um, so my next take, Brooks Co I always suck with his last name.
Kepka.
Kepka suddenly wanting back on the PGA Tour is peak grass isn't greener energy. Yeah, I remember when all this stuff happened with the Live Tour or LIV, right? Or
Live. Mhm.
Live, yeah. And the money the Saudis were sort of giving to these golfers, thinking it was a lot better because there was more money. Uh, Honestly, after that first year, quality's been poor. You haven't seen it much. I saw a little because I've started golfing a bit more. I still suck very much, so don't judge me on my golfing yet. But I've gotten a lot of like things to like, oh, you go to the Live Tour for free, and I'm like, for free? But I'm like, who's there now? I could probably make the Live Tour, cut nowadays how all these, big players that jump ship want to go back to the PGA. And kudos to the PGA for standing their ground. I think a lot of people probably expected them to sort of fold when this happened, losing some big names and finding ways that they could do live and PGA, but they've held their ground. And honestly, has grown, I would say, in the last few years and only continuing to grow quite a bit. I think, for me, I was never interested in golf just because it felt more like an elitist type sport. I don't think us Hispanics or people in, lower income communities back in the day felt like we could ever play that sport because we weren't part of a country club. I think that's the way it was always connected. And now it's a little bit different. Anybody can play it, honestly. And like I say, it doesn't matter how you look, skin color, anything like that. It's a fun game. So like I say, it's growing, and I think a lot of these people on the Live Tour are seeing how much the PGA is getting from this increase. The big tournament that I think we may try, not this year, but maybe next year to go, the Waste Management, you know, tournament in Arizona. Hopefully we could find ways to make it next year, do a little vlog, share the experience about that. But things like that bring so much money to PGA and to these golfers, part of the PGA Tour, that live golfers right now are sort of pissed off because, like I said, the money with the live is running out.
Absolutely. Yeah. And what's kind of funny is that the talk of the town when Live first started, I think it was back in what, 2022,
Yeah.
was like, oh, this is gonna be the PGA, ruiner. It's gonna, take over the PGA. Nobody's gonna talk about it anymore. This is gonna be the new
Hmm.
style of golf. Everybody's gonna watch. People watch it for like what, maybe 2 months, and then
Yeah.
we're like, the quality of golf sucks. I think they only play, um, you know, 36 holes, I
Hmm.
believe, in a tournament. It's like way less action. Golfers don't take it as serious, probably because they got so much money up front
Hmm.
to
Yeah.
even go to it. It's like, oh, I'm already paid. And that's
Yeah.
probably with Brooks is like, hey, I got paid for it. Now's my time to go back and, compete back on the PGA because,
Hmm.
the money's not hitting right. People aren't watching. People don't care as
Yeah.
much. In again, like you said, grass isn't always greener. Um, but yeah, he's kind of talking about, he's got a lot of work to do with some players, talking with them, kind of recuperating some of these, lost friendships, and the camaraderie.
Hmm.
Obviously, it's not really a team sport when you're on the tour, but it's also good to be cordial,
Hmm.
throughout it all. And, there's a certain etiquette that is expected when you play golf. So,
Yeah.
he has, some of that to do, but Brooks Koepka, he's a huge name. He's
Hmm.
fun to watch. He's always competitive. So it's good to have a big name like him going back and, solely focusing on the PGA. And then it's funny you bring up, country clubs. Like
Uh,
when I played baseball throughout my life, especially in high school, a big talk of, like if you are, walking on the field and not running or at least jogging, the common term that at least, our my team used was,
Hmm.
this isn't a country club sport, get running, just because there's that vibe of like, we're on a country club, let's relax, let's chill, this is the vibe, blah, 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 take your time, take deep breaths. But it's like other sports are, just polar opposite of that.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, it's again, they just the live, who knows where it's going to end up, who knows where it's going to be in a few years. But as of right now, it just doesn't seem like these Saudi run sports have much to go off of. Maybe because, maybe they have some ideas, but they just don't know how to expand it or keep it consistent. Obviously, the money's going to always be there,
Yeah.
with them. But yeah, it's quite the turn of events, and I'm curious to see who else might follow.
Yeah, yeah. I'll see who else. We'll see who else follows. I think a lot of people are going to start following because, like I say, is a big name, and I think a lot of people look up to him and live. And like I said, like you mentioned, Kepka says he has to repair a lot of stuff within the PGA before they probably take him back. So we'll see what happens, and I think another factor of them probably wanting to switch because I'm trying to think right now and looking back at commercials that I do see. I don't see Kepka on too many ads, you know, probably like sponsorship opportunities have dwindled because, like I say, the PGA is in control of golf. All golf content, stuff like that, that isn't YouTube golf, goes through the PGA, and it's sort of, you know, Subway, Happy Madison. I just think of Subway because Happy Madison. Um, and Happy Gilmore, I mean, sorry. But like Subway might not be going to these players that are on Live because it's like we're with part of PGA. Like that's if we go to you with Live, they're gonna drop us everywhere. And like I say, Subway's probably making a boatload of money for being on the PGA. So I think that's another factor. They got paid hefty at the beginning, but they're probably losing out on so much more. And in the long run, they're probably losing money compared if they would have stayed in the PGA.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought up that point because right here, this is the penalty for live players coming back into the PGA. The penalty is a $5 million contribution paid by the player to a charity chosen by the tour. No access to FedEx Cup bonus money in 2026. No sponsor exemptions to the $20 million signature events. And most importantly, no equity grants in the PGA Tour for the next 5 years.
Mhm.
So I hope the lofty sum of money that Koepka took upfront with Liv was worth it because the
Mhm.
PGA Tour estimates, based on Koepka performing at the level allowed to win 5 majors, the financial repercussions could be worth anywhere from 50 to 85 million dollars.
Damn.
Oh, got to do it
Yeah.
for the love of the game. So you got to do and
Yeah,
pray that 5 years goes up fast.
yeah. I think you got to do it for the love of the game and also how much longer you have in the game. I think golf is a sport that you could play well into your older ages compared to basketball, football. So it's sort of Kepka still might feel like I got still another 15, 20 years in me. Yes, these 5 years are gonna suck because I'm losing a lot, but after I get through the 5 years, I'm back. And if I could keep my peak performances and be able to win these cups, I'll be okay. And like I said, a lot of these other live players are younger, so it's you're gonna take a hit for so many years, but that's the gamble you took, and hey, it's part of the game. You gambled, you rolled the dice, you lost, you got snake eyes with live. Now roll the dice, you could get a seven, win, but it's gonna take a few rolls for you to finally make up what you lost.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And to back that up too, I guess Kepka left for a live deal that was worth around $100 million. So let's say he maxes out and gets that, potential
Hey,
$85 million through the
uh,
championships. He's hardly positive. He's probably already spent it.
yeah.
So, eee.
Yeah, it's not a good look. And like I say, sponsorships he would have lost. He probably lost a lot more. And from the sounds of it, he's not going to be getting much of the equity sponsorship limitations. Like I say, it's a hard one. But like I say, I think what Liv needs to do, and some of these big name players on Liv, repair that relationship. It, if your goal is to stay in golf long term and be relevant and known, repair that relationship, go back to PGA, apologize, take the fines, take all the stuff you have to do, and wait out the 5 years, and you'll be okay. Those that don't care, if Saudi is going to continue paying you 100 million every 5 years, and you're okay just playing mediocre golf and you're just doing it for money and not for the love of the game, more power to you. Like I say, live golf, I don't think will go away quickly because a lot of people may sign up for live. But like I said, there's a lot of risk because PGA is so strict that I don't even think YouTube golfers mess with anybody within live because, like I say, I think they want to be invited to PGA events. They want to be supported by the PGA.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I because that's where, a lot of the main brand sponsorship
Hmm.
deals are going to be from. Live isn't getting a ton of backing in that sense, because
Hmm.
of, just, where the Saudi money, could possibly be coming from. I don't want to get too deep into that, but
Right.
it's just not as much there. And maybe Live will just turn into, I don't know, like just something where, players are at the end of their career, maybe kind of
Hmm.
like what is happening in soccer. Cristiano Ronaldo could be the perfect example of that,
Yeah.
going, joining, Saudi League and getting paid a quadrillion dollars. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, in the money offered is absolutely insane. There's rumors that Tiger Woods was offered upwards of 1 billion to join
Oh.
Live, and he said no because of his integrity to
Hmm.
PGA.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy to turn down 1 billion. He's obviously worth
Oh
what, maybe
yeah.
two? So,
He's worth many billions, and even though
yep.
with all his stuff he probably lost quite a few millions, he's still making billions based off everything, his integrity. Liv wants to offer me 1 billion. I'll sign right now. I'm okay trying to win everything with the PGA because I'm never going to be a golfer that probably
Uh-huh.
gets onto that type of course or tours, even as an amateur. But like I say, if you get offered $1 billion and you're towards the end of your career and you've given everything to the PGA, but you're just trying to financially, set up your family for future generations, they may take it. You never know.
Absolutely. That was the take. I forget what golfer it was, but he said like, "Oh, I have a family, to take care of." A lot of people kind of frowned on that because of the amount of money he's already made off of
Hmm.
the PGA Tour, and like, dude, like, if you can't take care of your family with $100 million, like,
Yeah.
come on. Like, but again, future generations, your kids' kids, your kids' kids' kids, it can go on and on and on. You're setting up something where, down the road, no sports involved, you're changing generations with wealth.
Yeah.
And that's really any professional sport these days, based off of the
Yeah.
money that's earned. But it's all factors considered. And yeah, I mean, from Tiger's standpoint, it's just like, dude, like that's crazy, to turn down that kind of money. But, it's kind of probably a bit easier for him when, with the amount that he's making, as we just
Yeah.
mentioned. But I think Mickelson, and that's where, his gambling debt kind of came into play,
Hmm.
and why he went to live was because he had some debt to pay.
Yeah.
So it made
Huh.
a little bit more sense. And yeah, I guess if you're in a bit of a pickle,
Oh yeah.
you know.
It might be worth it.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, Mickelson didn't want to be like a in-house, coach and instructor at Top Golf in Vegas, so he's like,
Yeah.
I gotta go to live or else this is my future, playing on the tour and living at Top Golf, showing all these drunk people how to golf and how to swing, so there's a lot of reasons why people do things, I'm never gonna be one to judge For me, I said, I'd take 1 billion from the Saudis, but like I say, if I was already ingrained with the PGA, they gave me the opportunity, and I was making decent money. I think I'd stick with PGA because, like I say, the opportunities are just so much more because it's a well-known brand, sponsorship deals, clubs, all that. You're gonna get a lot of that comped, if you're a professional. Whereas in Live, you're getting $1 billion, but you got to pay for all your travel. You probably got to pay for all your golf clubs, your golf balls, your golf gear. And like I say, Nike isn't sending you their new stuff every year. Every year you got to buy it. So it's like there
Mhm.
you got to look at that factor as well.
Absolutely. And I think it's not heavily televised. I think it's kind of tough to watch as well.
Hmm.
The crowds seem to lessen over time as well.
Yeah.
I haven't even really heard much about Liv in the last year, not even clips on social media. But quickly just to get back into the Mickelson thing, and I guess his deal was worth 200 million, and he, according to a book that was written a couple of years back by
Hmm.
Billy Walters, Mickelson wagered more than $1 billion over 3 decades and lost close to 100 million in
Dang.
gambling bets. So, you know, maybe in that sense, if again you're in a bit of a pickle, it makes a little bit more sense.
Uh,
Yeah, end of career stuff, maybe that's just where it turns into in what it kind of stands and, kind of has a equilibrium to
yeah.
what soccer is.
Yeah, yeah, we'll see. 2026 next tournament's Live Golf Riata, February 4th to 7th. So the tournaments for them start from February all the way through August. So we'll see how they do. They got a 25 million purse. So that's how much money is on the line for some of these players. Um, yeah, Bryson DeChambeau, he's part of that group as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we'll see what they do in 2026. We'll see if they find ways to show more, but I feel like we probably won't see them as much.
Yeah. They're kind of just following suit to what their plans were back in 2022. Like it looks like they're still trying to secure more TV deals, get new
Hmm.
players, staging events.
Hmm.
Not much
Yeah.
has changed.
Yeah, not and like I said, that's the hard thing. Like the TV deals, like CBS isn't going to do it because they're already so committed to the PGA and all their tournaments because they know they sign a deal with Live. PGA is just going to pull them and
Hmm.
void their contract and go to some other and give more to NBC wherever they have it. So it's sort of like Live is struggling to find that. You got to find these providers and these networks that don't show any golf and take a chance on it. I'm thinking Dazin's one that probably has a lot of Live because I think
Hmm.
they do a lot of like boxing, UFC, international stuff. So,
That
um,
makes sense.
you know,
I see TNT Sports signed them for in the UK and Ireland for the 2026 season.
yeah,
I don't know how many people watch TNT in the UK and Ireland, though.
yeah,
It could be far different because TNT's even struggling here in the States. They couldn't even hold the NBA crew
yeah,
with Shaq and Kenny and everybody and
yeah.
Charles. Um, yeah, I don't know. Well, I guess we'll see if anybody else is willing to take the risk to follow
Hmm.
suit and join the PGA the way KEPKA is moving forward. Because, yeah, it doesn't, I don't know. Grass isn't always greener.
Yeah, no, it's not always greener. It looks green at the beginning. The first like 20 feet is probably green, but once you get there, it's all dried out. It's all muddy and just not great. So,
Yep.
we'll see what happens. But yeah, PGA Tour is at peak. I think they're about to start their monthly tournament, so exciting to sort of see a little bit of that. But here's my final take for you.
Excellent. Ooh, I like this. Darts should absolutely be in the Olympic Games. The athletes' entrances alone are the most electric, or more electric than half of the events on the schedule. And if the Olympics won't let them in, darts should run a tournament during the same window and show the world just how fast the sport is growing. Completely agree. We had a great little window
Yeah.
of sharing entrances via, TikTok, I believe. Um, with, how fantastic darts entrances are. Like the crowd absolutely electric. We just talked about the Waste Management Open, and because that is arguably the most electrical tournament of the season
Hmm.
with the PGA. Darts brings a very similar environment.
Yeah.
People drinking pints, getting rowdy, loving the entrances. The darts players
Mm.
themselves get involved with the crowd. They dance, they have their own like little routine. And just the sing along with it. Like it's just the epitome of just an electric environment. And, not only that, when the game starts, like darts is extremely electric. It is
Yeah.
ton of fun to watch. The comebacks can be crazy. There can be underdog winning,
Hmm.
you name it. It just really holds the environment. And then also the announcing is fantastic too,
Oh yeah.
because you just I don't know exactly what they shout out, but they seem to yell after like, a good strike, and then everybody's like, getting pumped up and going crazy.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, I honestly I think darts entrances have probably surpassed what boxing is at this
Hmm.
point in time. Boxing has always had phenomenal entrances and UFC, but darts, I think that they might be up there because just these darts players are just the most unsuspecting dudes to get up there and start like, dancing and getting pumped up and um, just bringing the crowd and getting them alive. And darts
Yeah.
is very tough to play. Just the accuracy um is just, yeah, second to none.
Yeah, it's a hard sport, and I call it a sport because it's something you have to train for, something you have to practice. Because I've played darts at like bars and stuff, and man, I truly suck. Even though I probably go into it in my mind that I'm gonna get this bullseye every time. Sometimes I don't even hit the board. So it's electric, and yeah, their entrances by far, I think some of the best entrances at the moment that I've seen, even better than some UFC entrances, boxing entrances. Um, so I think Olympics has should be including it. I don't think it's included in 2026 from what I've been hearing in reports. Um, but it's something they got to consider. You know, you brought skateboarding into it. You're bringing flag football into the Olympics. I think it's time to bring in darts. You know, bring all these type of sports because darts. You know, it's a game that you play worldwide. You know, it's not
Mhm.
just in Europe and England at the pubs. You know, you see it here in the U.S. You see it in Central America, South America, Africa. You know, China. You know, you see it in all these places, and there's probably a lot of amazing players that aren't getting the recognition just because it isn't that big of a sport, but I think it's time to bring it up just like golf is brought up now with a lot of their international players.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, and John, I don't know. There could be a chance here.
Is there?
U.S. Dart Masters coming to New York,
Oh,
June
okay.
26th, 27th, 2026. It's going
Okay.
to be at the theater at Madison Square Garden
Whew.
in New York. Top tier PDC World Series event featuring 8 elite PDC players and 8 North American competitors. Ooh, little
Okay.
Olympics for darts here,
Yeah.
man. This is the prerequisite for it to become, an
Yeah.
Olympic game. So this take is incredible. Um, but yeah, they're going to be going around the world throughout 2026. Bahrain, Riyadh, Copenhagen, New Zealand, Australia, and they're saying just much more.
Mhm.
But the Darts Masters in New York, man, that'd be
Yeah.
phenomenal. Fun stuff.
Sounds like a little bit of a Nations Cup type thing with hockey that made it so great to watch.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's definitely on the rise. I feel like a lot of these games, I don't know, you even go back 5 years ago, I didn't hear much about darts. I felt like I
Yeah.
heard more about bowling.
Yeah.
Bowling could was electric back in the day.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
if you watch mid 2000s bowling, Who do you think you are? I am. Oh, you'd hate
That
it.
that
Well,
yeah. I always remember watching bowling would just pop up in the morning, Saturday, Sunday mornings on
yes,
ESPN.
yes, yes, yes.
That's when it was always there, and you're just like bowling, but then once you start watching it, you're just so into it.
It was routine. I'm glad you brought that up because I literally did the same exact thing. I was every weekend morning, bowling would be on before like football would start.
Hmm.
And it would be like, oh man, this is gonna take me right into, NFL Sunday. Tune in and it'd always be electric.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this has like kind of just a better bowling feel to it. Like I feel like
Uh,
that this is just, the WWE entrances. Maybe
yeah.
bowling should have emphasized their entrances a little bit more. They were decent,
Yeah.
um, but a little bit more proper in a sense.
Yeah, no, I think they should have. I think if they would have, or I think they can still make a comeback because I think there's still a lot of bowling personalities that are just as great as back then. But I think it's just sort of how do you bring it into play now? What's going to get all the eyes and attention? And it's going to be entrances. It's going to be the environment, the rowdiness, and having it in big stages, creating a bowling, three bowling rinks in, SoFi, having a big event. I bet you a lot of people will show up just because it's bowling. You're going to make and if you have the hype with the entrances, how fun it is, seeing celebrities go to it. Because I think the one video you sent about the darts was, the Ted Lasso people, Jason Sudeikis, they're,
Mhm.
with his co-star from Ted Lasso, singing their hearts out, excited, drinking a pint, and it's sort of like if they love it, we all will probably love it as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, it has that Premier League
Hmm.
style to it, where you're getting fan chants. Everybody has, I'm sure every player has a kind of a chant that goes after him. I know for sure the gentleman Luke Littler. I think, it's like da 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 da
Yeah,
da, and then they bring in Luke Littler with it, or it might
yeah,
even, might not even be that song, but I know it's
yeah,
EDM
yeah,
associated with Luke Littler,
yeah.
but it's fantastic.
And then hearing everybody go dun dun, it's just the whole crowd. It's just electrifying.
Yes, absolutely.
Sports entertainment at its best.
Yeah, sports entertainment at its best. Absolutely. This is another event that they need to televise it a little bit better. This is what
Hmm.
we need for cable. This would have helped cable survive a little bit more.
Yeah, it could have. Yeah, I
Um,
think it would have.
yeah, because it's fantastic.
Yeah, yeah. Luke Littler, I see him on the list. Luke Humphreys, another Luke. I think this is the other guy, Stephen Bounting. I think that's the videos I've seen of him walking in.
Yeah.
Nathan Aspinall. Okay. There's a lot
Yep.
of good guys. And then the US, Matt Campbell, Danny Lobby, Jim Long. That name's just killer right there. Jim Long.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's solid. Stephen
Yeah.
Bunting.
Stephen
Oh,
Bunting.
Michael Van Gerwen, very
Okay.
popular,
Yeah.
big time winner from my understanding.
Yeah.
Um, just elite for his sport.
Yeah. No.
Um, American Adam Savada, big timer,
Okay.
getting in there,
Nice.
getting
Yeah.
involved. Yep.
Yeah.
Um, well, I guess it's Greenlight by Pitbull that Luke
Okay.
Littler plays. Um, yeah, dude, what a badass. I
Yeah.
I think Luke Littler, he's the guy that looks 30, but he's only like 17, right?
Probably. Yeah.
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 Uh,
What's great about this sport? It's they look like me. You don't gotta be in shape. You just gotta have a little. It's all in the wrist.
that's it. That's it. Yeah, no, he's only 18 as
Oh,
well. But yeah, like a little belly under the shirt is fine. It's
uh,
perfectly acceptable at darts.
uh,
But you're right. Flick of the wrist, the
uh.
hand-eye, the focus. You could even be badass if they just, I don't know if they do. Do they let the players drink beer while they do it?
I don't know. That's what I was curious about. If you could drink, because I feel like when you're a little intoxicated, maybe your shots are a little better. You
Yeah.
know?
Like less nerves.
less nerves, and I think it's sort of I've read this in golf because like I said I've been trying to read into swinging that like professionals they never aim to the tee, they always aim to the side of it. So sort of, when
Yep.
with darts, it's probably the same thing. You aim at the bullseye, it's gonna go down, it's gonna go to the left, going to go to right. When you're a little drunk, it looks like you're going straight, but you're actually going, down, down and over too, and it's that's why it hits. So it
Yep.
could be a prerequisite that you need to be drinking at least a beer every match.
I'd say it'd be mandatory. But I did look it up. You cannot drink,
Okay.
but this article says the crowd is absolutely hammered.
Oh yeah, they are.
Yeah, that is fantastic. And yeah, just the pints are everywhere. I wonder what the see now my brain's going. I wonder what the beer situation is, you know? Is it or are we talking waiters and waitresses if you get a table? Are we talking concessions? What's the food situation?
I'm thinking
Mine's going,
hot dog, pretzels, popcorn,
yeah,
burgers.
yeah. Yeah. There's some popular dishes in the UK that I could see being there.
Yeah,
Something in mash. Forget what it's
yeah,
called. But I'm sure it's, all
yeah,
involved. Beer is number one. F the food, get the beer.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think, like I say, if they have like bottle service, you'll probably get like a table or like a suite that has all the food in there. Um, but yeah, like I say, Olympics really has to look into adding this into their Olympic, list of sports to play. Like I say, flag football's coming into it, and like I say, I'm excited about flag football, but I think I'd also be so excited about darts, and just continuing to grow the Olympics. Making it one of the most watched sporting events. Every 4 years would be great. So,
Mhm.
darts, put them in. I know you can't probably do it this year; it's too late. But for our, 2030, wherever it is next, do that for them. Because like I say, if in the Winter Olympics you have wh- why am I blanking on the name? I blank every now and
This is
then.
the one where you shoot the gun
No, no, no. That's
halfway
always a good
through.
one.
That's a great one.
No, the Winter Olympic ones where you're sort of brooming,
Oh, curling. Curling.
curling. Like I say,
Great
if
one.
you put that in there, I feel like you see that game always at the bars. The little handheld one where you sort of throw it with your hand.
Yeah. And you
Pretty
and
much
I
the
would
same.
be perfectly accepted into that sport as well
We
with
would
our
be.
stature.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Uh,
wasn't it, didn't the Americans, they were like from Wisconsin or something,
yeah.
beer belly, stash only. It was
Yeah.
fantastic. What a
Yeah, it was
crew.
fantastic. Yeah, I got a lot of experience sweeping. As a kid, I had to sweep a lot. That was my duty as a kid. So I'd be
Yep.
perfect at that piece.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, we'll see what darts happens. I think darts will be growing just the way hockey's been growing, golf has been growing. I think a lot of these sports are growing throughout the last few years. So it's exciting to see sports in general just getting more recognition and getting a lot more attention from many people
Hmm.
and just being open to also a lot of different communities and different type of populations because like I say I think there was a time where it's like you had to be a certain type of class race to play a certain sport and now it's sort of being open to all, so it's something good.
Yeah. Yeah. We saw how it was with breakdancing in the Olympics last time.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
just take anybody
yeah.
when you're in Australia.
When you're in Australia. I'm curious if she'll be back. I'm curious if she'll be back.
She's got to be at least as an announcer.
It has to be.
Gotta be. Yeah. She was
We'll
great.
see. Yeah, that was good. But those are our banter takes this week. Agree or disagree? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear where you stand on this week's banter takes. But we'll go into our next segment, and that's just talking NFL, and we're going to recap the wild card week that we had this past weekend, and today, Monday night game, and look into the divisional round games coming up next or at the end of this week. But first game on the board, Rams versus Panthers. Rams coming up 34-31 win. I think my big take from this game, a lot closer than I expected. Uh, the Rams, I think, opened up as 10-point favorites. I think a lot of people took the Panthers because a lot of people had a lot of Panthers hype. I heard a lot of Panthers hype, people thinking they were gonna upset, and it looked close to being that way, but Rams were able to pull it off. Yeah. What do you want to say about this game, Tim?
Um, yeah, didn't have a chance to watch it, but I did kind of keep an eye on it from just, refreshing on my phone. I know Rams kind of built a little, 14-0 lead there in the
Mm-hmm.
beginning. And then all of a sudden, Carolina had a lead. And it was just kind of reminiscent of their earlier matchup in the year
Mm-hmm.
where Carolina ended up winning. Um, Very similar, just in opposite results.
Mm-hmm.
Stafford did what Stafford, has done much of the season, played very well. Nakua, heavily
Mm-hmm.
involved in rushing and receiving.
Mm-hmm.
But Carolina was just that team that just kind of hung in there,
Mm-hmm.
in certain games, but they flip-flopped a ton. But I guess on the bright side of things, there's a lot to build off of in a crappy division.
Yeah.
Jalen Coker,
Oh
big,
yeah.
big coming out party there at the end. He had glimpses earlier in the season.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, 134 yards receiving with the touchdown, 9 receptions. He was heavily targeted, outperformed McMillan. Yeah, stuff to build off of. Of course, a big talking point is, Young going to be, the QB of the future there. I think he's gotten better, but there's stuff to be seen. But what can happen when you have a good head coach?
Yeah.
They're in good hands. But close game, like you said, a lot closer than probably
Mm-hmm.
most expected.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Young will stay there at least another year. I don't think they're gonna go for QB this draft, especially being in the playoffs. They got a later draft pick, so they gotta find ways to sort of build that team and see if Young could make because Young did make a good improvement this year compared to his last 2 years. So there's a jump, not where we want to see it to be an elite QB, but he's there. If he can make one more jump, I think he's almost there. He has the pieces on offense. I think that rushing game needs to get a little bit better. Um, but overall, that defense is pretty solid. I think they could only get better, and especially with this division. Buccaneers still have their coach, so they may struggle this next year. Saints, who knows what they're gonna do? So, um, I think they're doing well, and yeah, LA still. After this game, I can't put them as my favorite to win it. I had them going to the Super Bowl. We'll see how they do this next week. But yeah, that's Rams Panthers. Next we have Packers versus Bears.
Oh,
Game of the week. I think probably the best game. A lot of these games were one score games, very close. But the way this ended, game of the week. Bears just I don't I'm not gonna say destroying the Packers, but just bursting that bubble that they probably were so excited at halftime that they had this in the bag, and Bears coming back, the resilience they have, Ben Johnson, big difference maker. Caleb coming out in the fourth quarter, it sounded wrong saying it that way, but doing well in the fourth quarter. Um, Great win by them.
it was fantastic. Just reminiscent of their latest matchup that they had late in the season.
Hmm.
Just fantastic. This team just never quits. They've been, Bears fans are obviously over the moon, but non-Bears fans, just plain and simple, love to watch football. They're fun to watch.
They're
They're
fun to watch.
very fun to watch. Um, Ben Johnson has certainly unlocked something with Caleb Williams.
Hmm.
Caleb Williams can have, some sloppy moments, but the dude has just, shut up a lot of critics.
Hmm.
He's a winner. He hangs in there. The defense could be a little bit of a factor. They aren't very good unless they force turnovers. That's a big issue for them. And, if they can try to do that a bit better, um, defensively moving forward, it'll help. But, and then looking at the Packers, I don't know. Josh Jacobs, he's been banged up all season. Um, again, Jordan Love, I know he threw 4 passing touchdowns. I, I'm just not that impressed. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. I feel like he's just not. I just don't see him winning a Super Bowl there.
Yeah.
I hope he proves me wrong, but I just don't.
I don't think he's clutch enough. I think he plays well, but I think when the pressure hits, I think that's where he struggles. Caleb Williams, you could sort of say struggles without the pressure, and when the pressure shows up, this guy just for somehow performs. I don't know how he does it. But like I say, 24 for 46, 323, 4 touchdowns for Jordan Love, and not being able to win it against a Bears team that was down 20, about 20 points going into the fourth.
Yeah, 25 by the
Horrible.
Bears in
He
the
had
fourth.
25 points by the Bears in the fourth. Incredible for them. Um, like I said, the Bears, Ben Johnson, the little shake Ben Johnson gave Matt LaFleur at the end of the game shows
Love
that
it.
love it because it's just that in division rivalry going into the playoffs. You're never gonna, Bear fans, Bear players, Bear coaches are never gonna like the Packers and vice versa. It could have been the same way the other way if the Packers would have won it. I think Packers defense will get better if Michael Parsons. I think if Michael Parsons was playing, it could have been a whole different outcome.
Yep.
Like I say, he's a game changer type of player. We saw it in Dallas. But yeah, this team, Swift showed up, Monangai showed up, um, Loveland, future tight end to look into for fantasy next year because he could be the guy that has a breakout season after what he's been doing it towards the end. Um, but yeah,
Agreed.
and then DJ Moore. DJ Moore's always been last minute touchdowns. I don't know.
Yep.
He does nothing during the game and he just shows up like the last 5 minutes and does it. All his stats are pretty much there.
Yeah, he's like the Packers killer at the
Yeah.
very end. Like he just deflates them.
Yeah.
These past 2 games, the game winner, the game back-to-back game winners, actually.
Yeah.
Just yeah, fantastic. But I'm glad you mentioned Colson Loveland. He arguably won it for my other fantasy team this year.
Yeah.
He was a late ad for me in a smaller league,
Yeah.
but fantastic. And he catches everything. He had like 1 or 2 drops on the season.
Hmm.
Like he catches everything. And there was a lot of talks about Tyler Warren, like in did the Bears make a mistake taking Leveland before him? I don't think so.
Yeah. I
But
don't think so. I think Loveland needed time, and I think the quarterback situation is what sort of delayed his performance to start shining. Whereas Tyler Warren started it from the beginning because of the
yep,
team he had around him, the confidence Daniel Jones probably had as well coming into a new situation. And honestly, Tyler Warren could have been probably competing against uh for top tight end if
sure.
if Daniel Jones didn't get injured because yeah,
Agreed.
once Daniel Jones went down, Warren sort of was not really to be seen.
Absolutely. Yeah, that played a definite factor. But yeah, I just don't think the argument's quite as valid as it once was.
Yeah.
Loveland's look great.
Yeah, he's looked good. I think he'll be the future tight end of the Bears.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, that's Bears Packers. Great, one of the great games. Next game, another great game. Bills versus Jaguars. Bills winning it 27-24. Like I said, was watching just the game while I was playing in the background, doing stuff in the house. But very close game. Buffalo Bills pulling it out. Trevor Lawrence struggled to start the first half. Second half, he did a lot better, but still, with what this team was doing towards the end of the season, why he didn't throw as much and they really relied on the run game surprises me. I know the Bills passing defense is probably one of the top passing defenses in the league. But Lawrence has shown that he could throw against the best, and him not throwing as much and them playing more of a conservative game, I think is what probably hurt them to win this one.
Agreed. Yeah. It's it was an odd time to try to change a game plan so drastically when you can rely on Trevor Lawrence the way that they had throughout the
Mhm.
season. Yeah, just kind of, I guess, inopportune times led to, those couple of picks with Trevor Lawrence. But
Hmm.
yeah, in a game where James Cook couldn't really get much going,
Hmm.
Bills held it together. Uh, Gabe Davis, I think, tore his ACL in this one.
Hmm.
So he's going to be out going forward. Um, Man, just not a lot of weapons for
No.
Josh to throw to is the big thing. And
Yeah.
that's, gonna play a factor. But Khalil Shakir, 12 catches, 82 yards, man. He
Yeah.
didn't get much yards off of those catches, but he caught all of his targets.
Yeah.
Brandon Cooks was a good late season ad for sure.
Yeah, I honestly I was gonna mention that. I was like, I didn't know Brandon Cooks was still in the league or playing, and
Yeah.
it just shows that there isn't much trust in some of these wide receivers in Buffalo because, like I said, Keon Coleman ha the way they drafted him should have been the star by now and has been a big disappointment for this team.
Yep.
So having to sign Brandon Cooks and targeting him 5 times compared to Keon Coleman's one. Um, Speaks volumes of how much Keon Coleman his time in Buffalo may be up.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, and it's a bummerish ending
Hmm.
because there's very hefty expectations for him. But yeah,
Yeah,
only securing a catch, got some yards on it, but
yeah,
yeah, no, yeah, good win, Bills.
yeah. Good win for the Bills, Jaguars, the team to look at next year. Travis Hunter, hopefully, he could stay healthy the entire year. He could have been a big difference maker on both sides of the ball this past weekend. So, um, like I
Sorry,
said,
one more quick point too.
yeah.
Sorry, you finish your thing, and I'll do another quick point. No
No,
time.
that was about it. Just great possibilities for them next year with their division being not the strongest, so easily winnable for them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I think Jacksonville has a ton to build off of, and I'm glad you brought that up too, because I just wanted to do a quick mention of the reporter who,
Hmm.
had some commentary that wasn't really necessarily a question, but just some props to Liam Cohen at the end of it. I had absolutely no problem with it. I don't get all of the pushback on it,
Hmm.
and I know reporters are there for duty, and maybe she should have asked the question and then kind of led into that commentary. I just, again, it was a great compliment, and I feel like very well deserved. Liam Cohen's done a fantastic job in his rookie year there.
Hmm.
Obviously, we all had some jokes with his Duval at the beginning of the
Hmm.
year, but between the new GM and the new head coach, like this is the best the Jacksonville Jaguars have looked in
Yeah,
a long time. So,
yeah,
very well deserved. Don't make it a big deal.
yeah,
The reporter has been there years. Good for her. I'm glad
yeah.
she's getting attention as well.
Yeah, yeah, I don't see a problem with it. I think what you should have done, and you shared the video with Dan Patrick where he was okay with it, but also sort of mentioning, they got a job to do. And what she probably should have done is started with that, which I think is totally fine. And then a question of like, how are you going to build off of what you did this year for next year based
Perfect.
off, how your season ended. And like I say, it's sort of you complimented because I think Cohen deserves a lot of it because there was probably a lot of question marks about this signing with how he started off his press conference. But the city of Jacksonville in that stadium, they're living off of Duval. You see that everywhere now. So it's
Yep.
one of their slogans, their mottos there. So like I say, nothing against it. And I think we discussed it a bit before we came to record today. Like it is part of the job. We're gonna be fans of teams as reporters, podcasters, people that comment, trollers online, and you're always gonna have some sort of biases towards a team, but also know that every now and then, if this is part of your job, your career, what you do, you're gonna have to give them some criticism. You do it sometimes with the 49ers. You've done it a lot with Shanahan. I've done it a lot this year with the Ravens, a lot of the stuff that they haven't done well, and I've been people know I'm a big Ravens fan. That's my team moving forward. But I had a lot to say about them this year, and it's part of what I do here is to share my honest truth of what I think of the team, and they suck this year. It's unfortunate, but I still
Mhm.
support them, and I hope our next coach is Robert Saleh, and we have a great year.
He ain't
No,
going anywhere.
no,
No, he would be a great choice, though. He would
yeah,
be. I think anybody who goes anywhere near the Jets, it's just a disaster.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
you can't blame that on him.
yeah. No, you can't. But and we'll go into that coach. What one of the coaches of the next game, 49ers versus Eagles. 49ers coming up with a big win, 23-19 versus Philadelphia in Philadelphia. Uh, I texted you, I think close to the end of the game or almost at the end of the game. I think it was already guaranteed 49ers win, but defense won you guys this game. Offense needs to find a way to do a little bit better because it's not going to be as easy moving forward.
Kind of a crazy thing to say, right? The defense has honestly been very good. They were very good against Seattle. Holding that offense to only 13 points was great. Just
Yeah.
again, the offense couldn't get totally clicking.
Hmm.
We already talked soft tissue injuries with, George Kittle. It's very unfortunate with the
Hmm.
Achilles. I do hope he enjoyed the bottle of tequila he ordered to
Oh,
the
yeah.
locker room. Can't blame him in the slightest.
I would do the
Uh,
same.
I hope he downed it and enjoyed every second of it. Um, but yeah, the run game could get a whole lot going there. McCaffrey did much better receiving this game.
Hmm.
No costly drops, anything like that. Big shout out to Marcus Robinson.
Hmm.
Big play at the beginning of the game, then right
Yes.
after caught that touchdown. Just was great, throughout the game. Kyle Jusic, fantastic filling in for Kittle's
Hmm.
absence. We expect a lot from Tongas, I'm sure, but because Tongas has played great when Kittle's not playing. But yeah, and then shout out Juwan Jennings doing more as a quarterback than Jalen Hurts could imagine. We had some comments, and I was commenting quite a bit on other people's posts where, Jalen Hurts, for example, somebody said Juwan Jennings is better than what Hurts is. Hurts is really, people go after Purdy all the time about being a check down merchant. That's really not the case. He has a ton of air yards. I think he's like top five in air yards in the league. You got to look at Jalen Hurts for check down merchant. Like that dude, I don't think threw the ball more than 15 yards in the air
Hmm.
yesterday. Like it was just dump off after dump off. AJ Brown, that's embarrassing. I'm embarrassed for you. That was cringeworthy. You begged for the ball all season long. When it comes into big moments, absolute butterfingers.
Hmm.
Shout out Chat GBT. I'll send you the picture after this, John. I had it make that Leonardo DiCaprio with the whiskey sitting back and like laughing like that. And it was, AJ Brown saying, "Hey, pass me the ball." And then also AJ Brown, butterfingers can't catch the ball. It's super relevant. Saquon, I don't know. He rushed for 106 yards, but it just off of 26 carries. Like, it's he just again, that's just off of sheer volume. He just didn't look right this year.
Hmm.
O-line kind of sucks, but Jalen Hurts sucks more. Um, they need to fire their OC. And then also, I was called soft by an Eagles fan in the
Oh.
comment section this weekend, yesterday. And they said 49ers fans are so soft. And I'm like, dude, are we dead ass with that comment? Because last I checked, and I responded saying, because I took offense, I was like, I said we beat you with our backups. Like our defense is absolutely decimated. We have Garrett Wallow leading our defense in
Who?
tackles.
Who?
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 Exactly. That is what me and Evan said yesterday when I had to do ChatGPT to figure out who Garrett Wallow was. He had two career tackles
Leading up. Yeah.
going into this. He was mainly a
Yeah.
special teamer. Um, Eric Kendricks, big shout out.
Big shout out. Yeah.
Fantastic game. all over the field. He was the Eric Kendricks that we all saw with Minnesota for years and years. Game winning, block with that final, pass deflection. Phenomenal game. He's exactly what we needed. Yeah, I hope Bosa or Warner can come back soon. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
But don't call us soft. That is like Eagles fans, your banter is ridiculous right now.
Eagles fans' banter is ridiculous because I've seen some posts where they're sort of complaining that they didn't prep correctly because they're like, who are we even playing? If you're concerned about losing to third string players, fourth string players, practice squad players, or players coming out of the grocery store, it shows that you weren't that great of a team. Honestly, Eagles defense, amazing. I think that's their repertoire, that's their bread and butter.
Yep.
Not stopping McCaffrey the way they did.
Mhm.
That's what they needed to do. This defense kept that team in it. Offensively, it could be offensive coordinator that needs to be fired. I also think Jalen Hurts. I've talked about it the last 2 years. Not elite
Mhm.
in my book. Can't throw. Good rushing quarterback. Needs to improve in his throwing. And it's sort of the same criticism Lamar had his first few years. Not a great thrower, only a rusher. Lamar has gotten a lot better. I think there's still a lot Lamar can improve, but I also think it's just his type of players. I think if Lamar Jackson had AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, we'd be a totally different team. We're
Yep.
going with nothing against Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman. That's our two guys. You know.
Yep.
So Eagles fans take this loss. Can't call the 49ers soft because a lot of 49ers went into your stadium, stood toe to toe with you, and you guys got whooped. And
Yep.
you have to call this a whooping because I mentioned it to you, or I think I might have mentioned it to you a bit. Brock Purdy in my books had a bad game. If you guys would have had a loss, I think I would have blamed Purdy the most out of this entire team. I think Shanahan created a great play, just a great game for them. The what he schemed up for this team, that's why you guys won. Robert Saleh, what he did, honestly, he's going to be a head coach next year because what he's doing with his defense, any team, like I say, imagine, like I say, in that, yeah, I know you don't want him to go, but like
Nope.
what I look at it is like he did this in the playoffs with a four string team. What would he do with the Ravens with the healthy team that we had, a healthy defense? He could have probably brought the best of us, and we wouldn't be in the situation we were during the year. I could be totally wrong, but from what I see right now, Robert Saleh is a defensive guru, and if you need defensive help because that's where you struggled this year, he's a guy you have to go look at. You can't pass it up because he's not leaving San Francisco for nothing less than a head coaching. You could offer
Yep.
him defensive coordinator, but he's not going to leave San Francisco for that. He's going to stay there. All he's
Yep.
going to leave is for head coach and a nice payday. So, but overall, great win for the 49ers. Like I said, I think you guys got to get back to the drawing board. Brock Purdy, I don't think he's chucked down quarterback. I saw that one comment Esteban sort of put, that
Yeah, he's
I
going
knew.
after you, man.
Yeah, he's coming after me, but like I say, and I've heard a lot of people. I think there was another commenter that sort of said, he's done this before in the playoffs. He's taking you guys there. I was like, yeah, he has, but that's before his payday. What I've seen from a lot of quarterbacks, once they get paid, they don't show up. They buckle under
Mhm.
pressure. And so far, the last two games, Purdy has buckled. He needs to make a change this next game because you guys are playing Seattle, right? Yeah. You guys are
Yep, in
playing the
Seattle.
Seahawks. Third game. This is a big game. You do what you've done the last two games. I don't think you guys come out with a win. So he needs to change it up. Yes, he's without Kittle, but the one argument you guys have done it this whole year without Kittle, without your big names. If he's done it before, he could do it again. Can't make an excuse for him that he didn't have his players.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, it is worth mentioning. Saul is the highest paid coordinator in the league at 5 million a year. He
Yeah.
gets a good payday.
Yeah.
I think he's okay. I'm sure he loves Santa Clara, San Jose area. Uh, he loves it out here. It's good weather. Stays a little bit warmer longer. Um,
Miami has good weather.
it's overrated. I've never been there. Oh man, yeah, but they trade away a lot of their talent. But again, he could make it his own. Do I think he's deserving of a head coaching role? Absolutely. I think Saul is fantastic. I think he's a guru on the defensive end. If you get him a good OC, I think he's in good hands. Maybe he'll team up with McDaniel somewhere.
Hmm.
Who knows? But certainly not with the Dolphins. But maybe with the Ravens. I don't know how you feel about your OC though.
No, not a
But
fan.
not a
McDaniels could
fan.
be McDaniels could do well with Lamar and that
Ah,
team.
perfect. Yeah, see, maybe they'll do that. But
Maybe.
good for you, bad for me. But yeah, no, overall, this game's great. I also told that Eagles fan, maybe go find a good quarterback.
Yeah, yeah.
I agree
There's
with you.
there's
You're
some good
safe.
quarterbacks out there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
overrated.
Uh, but yeah, 49ers Eagle. Like I said, 49ers move on. Next game, Chargers versus Pats. Uneventful game, I think, pretty much the whole game. Chargers, Fidel called them, they played horrible. Offensive line needs some help. Uh, Justin Herbert played like, what was it? Justin Sherbert, I think he said, or someone said. Um,
Yeah. I didn't know if that was autocorrect or just meant to
yeah,
be that way.
I
It's
don't know.
hilarious.
But Pats came up with a win. Rookie quarterback or a young quarterback playing in his first playoff game at home did decent. Yeah, like I said, I think they're gonna have to play a lot better, but I think they sort of clicked it towards the end of the game, and that momentum's gonna take them into the next game. But yeah, that's all I really have for Chargers Pats.
Yeah, Pats, they're set up well for the AFC and being, really competitive this playoff run. They have to, click on a few more things, but yeah, boring games, kind of snooze fest. Chargers injuries, much like the Niners.
Hmm.
Fidel mentions it as well. We're kind of two peas in a pod in that sense where,
Hmm.
our teams are just constantly decimated. If that was a healthy O line, I think it's a different story.
Hmm.
And Omarion Hampton, I'm assuming he got re-injured this game. He was
I'm
already
assuming
kind of
too.
questionable. But yeah, one
Yeah,
carry, -1 yards. That's a bummer.
yeah.
Um, I wonder if their facility is close to a electric magnetic facility.
Um, I don't know where they're at exactly,
Got to do the
but
research.
yeah, but who knows? We'll see. We'll see if
Yep.
they are.
Pat's live
Um,
on. Oh, drunk Pats fan, shout out, don't know his name. Really enjoyable to watch. Drunk Pats fans are just anything from
yeah,
Boston's enjoyable. It's funny.
yeah. No. Yeah, Chargers, Pats. Next game, today's game, Texans versus Steelers. Monday night game, Texans putting a whooping on the Steelers 30-6. Same thing with this game, very uneventful, I think, first half, second half. Um, Texans sort of pulling away. More of a defensive team effort for the Texans. Offensively, struggled a bit, I think. The a little bit of bad news. Nico Collins went out with a concussion. We'll
Concussion.
see if how he does, if he could pass concussion protocol by I think they play Saturday. They play Sunday, so he's got that extra day. Um, but Steelers, we knew they weren't that great of a offensive team. Defense kept them in it. I think defense is the bread and butter for the Steelers because they kept them in it. The offense is what sort of hurt the Steelers. Aaron Rodgers, I don't think is coming back. I think it's his last year with Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh knows they need a quarterback, or because if they had a decent quarterback and a legitimate one, they could have made a run. But yeah, I think Ravens would have put up a better show. But yeah, that's all I really got from this game. Wasn't really that exciting.
Not at all. Yeah. Nico Collins, hopefully the concussion's not too bad, even though it did look that way. Um, yeah, just kind of almost seemed a bit lethargic, unfortunately. Christian Kirk, sighting.
Hmm.
Fantastic game. Woody Marks is honestly probably his best rushing performance on the year. Um, Yeah, from Pittsburgh standpoint, that's probably the curtain call for Aaron Rodgers. CJ Stroud, back to the Texans really quick. Five just botched fumbles or, can't catch the snap, timing's off. They gotta they gotta lock that in. That was
Yeah.
really ugly on the offense for them. But yeah, overall, yeah, I know. One small thing is I was driving back home from the store and I was listening to some halftime commentary of the game. They're like,
Hmm.
oh, DK Metcalf, 2 catches, 42 yards. I think he gets a lot more involved in the second half. And I laughed. And I'm like, no, that's probably it. And then, yeah, lo and behold, 2 catches, 42 yards.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's because I don't know, like he's just not, he hasn't played that well.
No,
I don't
he hasn't played that well. I a great receiver at times, but I don't think he's a number one guy. He needs that complementary player to sort of take some of the pressure away to give him to be more wide open. Because MVS isn't it. Kenneth Gainwell's from the backfield. Adam Thielen's just old. So they got to make some moves on this offense to sort of help them be contenders. Because like I said, next year Ravens could be a dangerous team. The Bengals, if they stay healthy, another dangerous team. And the Browns, like I said, they're going to a new direction. Could they come up? It could be, and then it's going to be a hard division again. So,
Yep.
a lot of changes there, but yeah, that's Texans Steelers, and we'll look into the divisional round. And what we're going to do a little bit different. We're looking at the odds a little bit. We looked at odds via BetMGM, and we'll sort of give you guys our picks for odds, and then sort of just our little overview of the game. But first game is Saturday, 1:30 p.m. That's the Bills versus Broncos. Broncos are opening up at minus 1.5 favorites, and over 46.5 points for the game. Um, I can start with this game to just go first. I I think this will be a tough game for Bo Nix throwing the ball. I think it's the same thing for Josh Allen. Without some of his receivers, it's gonna be a rush game. The best rushing team that day will win this game. It's gonna be a defensive game. Um, I see Bo Nix giving up a pick, maybe two. Josh Allen will have a rushing touchdown. He's going to have another big tush push that's going to get him like 10 yards. But I'm taking the Bills here at plus 1.5. I don't think they're going to lose. And I'm also taking the under. I don't think they're going to be hitting their their 46.5 points. I think it's going to be a low scoring game.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the Bills or the Broncos need to be the keepers of the time. You mentioned a lot of running, run down the clock. When we have scenarios like that, kind of hammer the under. I completely agree. I'm gonna go. I'm leaning Bills based off of experience. Let's see what the weather's like. I know it could be drastically different one day to the next there in Mile
Hmm.
High. Um, so yeah, I'm kind of leaning the same way. Yeah, I don't totally trust Bo Nix. He can look very good at times. Other times it can be a complete disaster, and when things aren't clicking, the team can lose quite easily.
Hmm.
And I think that this is Josh Allen. He knows it. This is his run in the
Yeah.
playoffs.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'll take him.
He's gonna push everything to get through this game and win. But yeah, that's the
Absolutely.
first game Saturday. Second game Saturday, 5 p.m. game here, and it is Pacific Standard Time. We got the 49ers Seahawks. Seahawks are opening up at 7.5 point favorites, and over and a 45.5 total. Um, I'll let you start with your take with this.
A touchdown?
7.5.
Jesus. That's a mistake. Yeah, Niners, 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 Niners. We love playing at Lumen Field up there in Seattle. Get us in there, get us involved. We travel well as a fan base. I'm gonna take. I'm going to take the under on this, but with the Niners victory, I think both defenses play very, very well. I think that this game could be something like 21 to 17
Hmm.
Niners.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna I think it's gonna be a high scoring game. I think both
Okay.
sides are I think both offenses are gonna have to score a lot to win. Um 49ers offense need to be clicking on all pages for them to win. Shanahan needs to have good play set up and just a good, scheme set up for the entire game. And I think the biggest question mark for me will be Sam Darnold. Which version of Sam Darnold are we gonna get? Are we gonna get the elite looking version, or are we gonna get the Sam Darnold that always struggled, was never the top QB, even as a top pick? And he's shown it this year. He's had his games where he looks like he could be in the MVP conversations, and then he goes to a game where Jalen Hurts looks better than him, and when you have those two sides of the spectrum, it's hard to know which one's going to come out this game. And as the number one seed, the pressure is going to be on him. So we'll see what version we get. But I have the 49ers at the point spread. I don't think they're going to lose by more than a touchdown. So if they lose by 3 points, it takes it. But I have the 49ers winning it overall. And I have the over 45.5.
Can I give you two quick little stats
Yeah.
real quick? They've only exceeded 45 and a half once in the last five meetings. And um, also, Juwan Jennings has more playoff passing touchdowns than Sam Darnold.
I can imagine.
2 to 1.
Oh yeah. And both of them were to McCaffrey, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I believe they were. Yep.
Yeah. I
High
saw a
school quarterbacks.
stat. Let me see if I still have it. Thought I had it up, but I might have lost it. Um, but Jawan Jennings was ranked higher as a QB than I think Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, and Sam Darnold coming out of high school.
Oh, I think I've seen that too. I think I've seen that too. He's like a very highly recruited quarterback.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So,
He has a great
yeah,
arm.
yeah, could be
Beautiful
the
ball.
Jawan Jennings passing show.
It could be. Why
Could
not?
be.
Mix it up a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
I like it
next
though.
game, Sunday, Texans versus Patriots. Patriots are opening up as of today at minus 2.5 point favorites and a total of 40.5 over or 40.5 total points scored for the game. This game for me, um, I think Patriots, like I mentioned, found the formula towards the end of this last game of how to play. And they're gonna have to play a lot quicker. I think they know this Houston defense is a very quick defense, and they have to get rid of the ball a lot quicker. So I think they're gonna figure it out. And I think the one struggle for the Houston is offense. I think that's where their downfall is gonna be. And I think especially if Nico Collins doesn't play, it's gonna be a big challenge for them to be able to win in New England, in the cold. So I'm taking the Patriots at minus 2.5. And this is one I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with what I have noted. I'm gonna go with the over of 40.5. I think it could still be a pretty high scoring game, just because both defenses are gonna struggle because they're gonna be playing a different type of game, and yeah, I just think it's gonna go over the points.
I agree with you. Yeah, I'm gonna go Pats, just to kind of keep my little heater with the Pats going this year. And I do think it goes over 40 and a half. I think that line is pretty low. I know the defenses are very good on both ends of the ball, but I do think that if any quarterback is going to give the Texans defense a run for the money, I think it's Drake May. He's played very well this year.
Hmm.
And the Pats have the elements to do it. But yeah, I do think Pats win. And, let's check in on Nico Collins because that is a big difference maker.
Yeah, yeah. I think if Nico Collins plays, this line could change to sort of like the Bills line of like 1.5,
Yep.
and it could go the other way depending on Nico Collins. But yeah, it'll be a really good game in New England.
Mhm.
And then the last game, this is a Sunday, it's not even Sunday night, Sunday afternoon, 3:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Rams versus the Bears. Rams are opening up at -4 favorites, and 51 total points for the game. And I'll let you start with this one.
Is this going to be at the Bears?
Yep,
Yep.
Chicago.
Yeah,
In 0 degree chill, like wind chill.
ooh, it's been kind of unseasonably warm. I think it's been like in the 50s in Chicago recently. So to see the wind chill factor get down to zero, that's playoff football, baby. Love that. I'm going Bears. I'm going Bears big time. Could be another late game theatric. And I do think it goes over 51. I don't care about the wind chill. I think that it will be high scoring. I think both teams can be scored on. And I think it's going to be an electric game, and both teams will air it out quite a bit. Um, so yeah, I'm going to go with the over. There's way too many offensive weapons on both sides.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this game will be close, but a high scoring game. I think Bears are going to stay in it. And I honestly think this is going to come down to a kick in this cold, over there in Chicago. Um, they're going to be going back and forth. These offenses are great. The defenses have question marks and they're going to be challenged. Uh, the Rams, I hope they're already in Chicago getting used to that weather because they got to get used to the cold. They were used to a lot of the warmer weather. But I'm also taking the Bears at +4. I think the Bears are gonna lose, but I think though they will lose by just a field goal. I think it's a field goal game. I have the Rams winning it just because I've been rolling with the Rams these playoffs. And I also have the over 51 because I think it'll be high scoring. It's just gonna come down to that last kick, but I don't think the Bears will lose more than by 3 points.
Yeah, I like it. It's going to be a very close game. Be a
Mhm.
lot of fun.
Yeah, but that's football. Like I say, playoff this year, divisional round. The way the playoffs started this last weekend, I thought all the games were going to be really close. The last two games sort of gave us a dud games, but I think these next games, I think we're going to see them close. I don't think we're going to see a blowout in any form. It's going to be hard hitting and it's going to go into the fourth quarter. So I'm excited to see football this weekend.
Completely agree. Yeah, no, there's some fun matchups in there, and look at the great parity you have in the league when you don't have the Chiefs involved.
Yeah. We don't have the Chiefs involved. There's a lot of people probably mad, but I think it's great. It's a little different, and yeah,
Hmm.
we'll sort of see.
Absolutely.
Uh, but yeah, that's NFL. Any other notes with the NFL, Tim, before we move on? I'm trying to think.
Let's just see
Uh,
where all these coaching vacancies go. There's a
mhm.
lot of movement on that end. Harbaugh, Falcons already interviewed him. I see.
Yeah.
Um, every team that has a vacancy, including one that still has a coach, is interested. And I don't know if that's rumblings about Matt LaFleur with the Packers because there's a lot of talk about him.
Hmm.
I wonder if there could be a positional swap with both of them. Harbaugh goes to the Packers. LaFleur goes to the Ravens. There was some talk about that I've seen. I don't love it, but you never know.
Yeah, like I said, I'm just curious to see what we do. Um, I think out of all the head coaching positions, Baltimore probably has the most opportunity to still be in the playoffs, where some of these other teams you have to be able to build and get the wins to make a long run. So I think we could be one of the first few teams to hire a head coach, but uh like I say, I'm just curious to see who else we're interviewing and then what route we go. But I think that defensive mindset is what we need a little bit. I think we need to fire our offensive coordinator and find someone that sort of meshes with Lamar Jackson's game and Derrick Henry's game, um,
Mhm.
to be able to let's crank out as much as we can out of Derrick Henry this last year to 2 years before he probably chooses to hang it up.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, that's definitely what's needed because yeah, he's the vibes aren't great there on the offensive end. And then I guess my last thing, really big head scratcher, that the Bucks kept Todd Bowles. I I don't think that was the move to do,
Uh,
but I don't know. They're looking for another 9-8 season, 8-9 season.
yeah, and we'll see what they do because who knows if they're secretly interviewing and then if they find someone that they maybe like a little bit more that's open to go to that team. Um, they'll make a firing and then a hiring pretty quickly because like I say,
Hmm.
McDaniels uh lasted I think a day or two more than I predicted before he got fired. When he didn't get fired immediately, I sort of was like, are they actually gonna keep him? But then I saw he got
Oh
fired. I was
yeah.
like, okay. No, I was my inkling was right about him.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, and then speaking of which, that brought me to my little hunch that I think Troy Aikman was involved in the firing of Mike
Hmm.
McDaniel based off of his help for finding a new GM there, which they'd already signed.
Yeah.
But it goes back to that Steelers Dolphins game where Aikman was going after McDaniels for the lack of wanting to win late in
Hmm.
that game, and I can't blame him because it was ugly and
Yeah.
it looked lackluster. So. Um, I'm sure that he had some level of involvement in that.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen a lot of memes about McDaniels when he joined the Dolphins staff as a head coach to when he left, looking like a nerd to a Narcos kingpin with his hair, glasses, his tan.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
What a
Uh,
difference.
what a difference some years in Miami does. But that's the NFL. Like I say, we'll review our picks next week after the games get played out. Um, and best of luck to your team, Tim, the 49ers. I'm going with the Patriots because that's the wifey's team and
There you
family's
go.
side. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But next in our last little segment, I want to do a little Golden Globe recap. Golden Globes were yesterday. Saw that from start to finish. I don't know if you got a chance to see any of it, Tim, or see some of the winners.
Clips, yeah.
Clips.
Some funny stuff with some of the announcers as well. It was pretty
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, no, yeah. It was good. Announcing was good, presentation was good, but I was gonna go over some of my thoughts on some of them, some of the winners.
Mhm.
And we'll start off with, I think, best podcast. So I'm just going off of the Golden Globes winners. Winner was Amy Hang with Good Hang with or Amy Poehler. Great show. Like I say, I've heard it, I've listened to it. Funny, packed with always entertaining guest segments. And she does what she does best. But with that said, I I wouldn't have picked that for myself for best podcast. I had it between the Mel Robbins podcast and Call Her Daddy. I think
Mhm.
Mel Robbins runs one of the most followed and watched, listened to podcasts in the US right now. I think she's like top two, three on Apple Podcasts of subscribers.
Wow.
And just what her content brings, brings a value. She's uplifting, she's motivating, and some of the stuff she gives to the listeners based off who she's interviewing, that isn't always celebrity. Sometimes it's doctors, sometimes it's life experts, things like that. It's practical. It's things that we could take away and use in our everyday life. So I think that's what I've always enjoyed about the Mel Robbins Project podcast. The next one, Call Her Daddy. For me, like I say, I think this one probably wouldn't have gotten a chance because of the conversation she has. I don't know if you've heard clips of her, but a
At
lot more
times. Mhm.
a lot more adult sided. But I think the reason I have her is her impact that she's had into the podcasting game and where she started out from because she started out from nothing, just her caller daddy talking about sex, adult themed stuff for females. And she brought this brand up from nothing to millions of dollars with Spotify. And now she even attracts some of the biggest name guests. You know, if you watch some of the guests that come on her show, it's high profile guests, and also some of these conversations are so intense and so interesting, that I feel like she deserved best podcast a little bit more because a lot of her content's just as good. So,
Mhm.
but like I said, the one thing for me, Amy Poehler, great at this. I think she does deserve it. She does well. But I think and I think this is where I'm gonna get hate from a lot of people, is she's already deeply established into this entertainment business for me. And even before launching this podcast, and when you look at all the connections she has, everybody she knows in this industry, it's so much easier to bring guests and bring this content to us daily or weekly, because it's all her friends, it's all well-known people that are going to join her as guests. Where, I don't want to take away from that, but it highlights just different what Alex Cooper and Mel Robbins did, because they aren't these big name celebrities. They built theirs from the ground up, and they've done such amazing things. And that's why I think that between those two should have won best podcast, because what they have done for the podcast industry. I think the three shows I would want to shout out that really started podcasting: Bill Simmons, Dan Patrick, and Part of My Take. Those are the three podcasting pioneers that opened the route for all these nominees, us, and many other podcasters that are out there right now.
Yeah, very well said. I completely agree. Bill Simmons, I've seen more of like clip level stuff from him.
Hmm.
But obviously name anybody that does podcasting knows.
Yeah.
Dan Patrick, I avid follower of his. I think he's fantastic. And, he can bring on a slew of guests that ranges in far more than just sports is in that stuff I really enjoy. It could be stuff
Hmm.
from, having guests that can just talk your head off about bourbon
Hmm.
and famous bourbons or, actors. He's,
Hmm.
very good pals with Adam Sandler. So having
Yeah.
him come on as a guest is always enjoyable. And likewise with Pardon My Take, the guest list that they get is fantastic. But, they're just like us, their commentary and chats that they have is stuff that, a lot of guys have in their friend groups as well. So, it's just kind of relatable stuff. It's fun. But I agree, they're pioneers in it. But yeah, obviously, when it comes to, probably this category, because they weren't involved in this, I think you called it right with you saw it coming with Good Hang and Amy
Yeah.
Poehler winning this category, and you're exactly
Hmm.
right. Probably for all that you mentioned with,
Hmm.
her connections in showbiz, it's just an easy way into it.
Yeah.
But I again, this having this award come up now makes me feel a lot better about us starting when we did, if that makes
Hmm.
sense. I know that,
Yeah.
we could be seen as late to the game, but honestly, with this just starting,
Yeah.
we're almost early to the game. So I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, no, I love it. I think it just opens up to see other avenues. And like I say, I think the one thing, and like one of the messages I have towards the end after I talk about more, um, it's just a perseverance and just how hard you work towards it. Like I say, don't give up, because like I say, we're gonna have to go the Mo Robbins, the Alex Cooper and Call Her Daddy route, where we have to build our name. We have to start from the ground up. And if we could get to a point to that level, even just being nominated for myself, like I said, I think Alex Cooper should be proud that she was in this top six, because it
Mhm.
shows how much work she's done and how much change she's made into this podcasting realm. And it's something to be proud of, you know. Hopefully next year it'll be someone different. And like I say, nothing against Good Hang with Amy Poehler, because it is a great podcast. Don't want to take anything away from it. But like I say, it just, the playing field is always a little different. It's the same thing in Hollywood. To get into the acting biz, we talk about nepotism, the Nepo babies, and sometimes you just have to fight a little harder. And once you get through, you'll be happy, you'll be successful, and that's the goal.
Absolutely. Well said.
Yeah. One of the next, and then, like I said, I'll go through all of them. Some of them I'll go through quickly, just who won. Best performance in stand-up comedy on television. That went to Ricky Gervais and Mortality. I had Kevin Hart acting my age just because it was Kevin Hart. That's the name I thought would have won.
Hmm.
Haven't seen much of this. Vera said she saw Kevin Hart. She said it was funny. Um, I'm curious to see all of these because all these names: Sarah Silverman, Ricky Gervais, Kumal Nanjiani, Kevin Hart, Brett Goldstein, and Bill Maher, all nominated. So they must have had great segments, and great stand up on television and Netflix or wherever they were streaming.
Hmm. Yeah, no, all big names. Yeah, Ricky Gervais. He can be a little bit more cutthroat with some of his stuff,
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah,
And yeah, when you're like that, it can make you unique. It can kind of put you out there a bit more.
yeah,
Yeah, and I feel like, maybe the biggest thing with Kevin Hart is his stand-up hasn't been quite as relevant as his acting has as of late.
no,
So maybe that's the only,
yeah,
kind of knife in this that could have been possible.
yeah.
But yeah, no, good for Ricky Gervais.
Yeah, good for Ricky Gervais. Kevin Hart, a lot of jokes at the Golden Globes. If you saw, if you guys haven't seen, look up all the
Yeah.
jokes that they made with Kevin Hart. Hilarious. It was
Man,
good.
I love his presence at those
Uh,
things. It's just
uh,
it's just funny. It changes
yeah,
the tune. I love it.
it does. It makes it more lively, and I think he accepts his role as that little. So I hated to say that word, the little word, as that punchline, because he knows because of his height, because of some of the work he's done, some of the movies he's done, he's always going to be, part of the jokes. But like I say, rolls with it because it makes him relevant, and I think it's a
Yep.
smart thing for him to not take it offensive and just roll with those punches.
Absolutely. He embraces it. It's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Him and The Rock going back and forth is always funny.
Yeah, it's always good. Yeah. Next winner, best performance by a male actor in a supporting role on television. This was Owen Cooper with Adolescence. I called him winning it.
Mhm.
16-year-old kid, one of the youngest kids to win a Golden Globe. So shout out to him. And then best performance by a male actor in a limited series, anthology series, or a motion picture made for television went to Stephen Graham from Adolescence. So he played the dad of Owen. Shout out to Stephen Graham because I remember watching this guy in a lot of movies many, many years ago. When he was going down, I really liked him saying hi and getting a lot of praise and hugs from all these big celebrities that he worked with in the past. When he passed Leo, he gave a big old hug to Leo, and I thought that was great because Leo and him were in Gangs of New York together. So,
Okay.
like I say, a movie from so long ago, but still having that connection and those memories, and just Leo probably seeing him win, he's probably proud of him. So, shout out to Stephen Graham.
Absolutely. No, that's awesome. A lot of big names in that category. So not an easy
Yeah.
category. Good for him.
Yeah, yeah. Next, best performance by a female actor in a supporting role on television. That one went to Erin Doherty from Adolescence. Like I say, if you guys haven't seen Adolescence, check it out. A little bit of a hard move show to watch. Short, I think it's like 6, 7 episodes on Netflix, but it's so touching, and I I want to remember fully what the or when I get to it, but the directors did share a little bit about it of how this show wasn't meant to scare parents, but it was sort of to show how we need to change how we raise our children in the future. So I liked his message with this, and I see it that way now with adolescents. I don't see it as a horror for a parent movie, of what your son could do.
Yeah. Yeah. Seems like these categories are following suit. Adolescence seems like,
Yeah,
yeah,
big
some great
big
roles
winners.
in. Hmm.
Yeah. Next one, best performance by a male actor in a television series, musical, or comedy. I called Seth Rogen in the studio with this. He won it. Uh, he was grateful. Some of the jokes he made, you could see he was a little nervous. But he did great. Like I say, if you guys haven't seen the studio, I truly think you guys gotta watch it. It's a funny show.
his line towards Martin Short and Steve Martin was
Oh yeah.
hilarious. And he's like, "Yeah, I always dreamed to be beating you guys."
Yeah.
It's just yeah.
Yeah.
No, he's funny vibes, man. I love
Uh,
Seth Rogen.
he's funny vibes, and like I said, the way he sort of said it, like the episode where they did the Golden Globes, it was sort of like everything he did, yesterday. So awesome to see. So shout out to
Mhm.
him. Great to see him winning something like this because he is a creative guy, funny guy too. So
Mhm.
um, next, best performance by a female actor in a limited series, anthology series, or motion picture made for television. This went to Michelle Williams for Dying for Sex. I've heard stuff about this show. I haven't watched it, I'll be honest, so I'm not sure. Claire Danes and The Beast in Me did really well. I thought it was going to go to Sarah Snook from All Her Fault, just like it did for the Critics' Choice, but they went Michelle Williams, so shout out to her. She wasn't there, but yeah, like I say, everybody in this category was great. Amanda Seyfried, Claire Danes, Rashida Jones, Robin Wright. Um, like I say, it's always hard to pick a winner.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd
Next
love
one.
to sneak in like knowledge of just a random movie in this and be like, yeah, I watched it.
Yeah. You
Especially
may. You never know. We'll,
unsuspecting.
we'll, we'll see. We'll see. Still got a lot.
Yeah.
Uh, next, best performance by a female actor in a television series, musical, or comedy. This one went to Jean Smart. This is what I called Hacks. I think Hacks has been winning. She's been winning all of it
Mhm.
for performance by a female actor in a musical or a comedy. Um, I think the only other person that could have probably competed was Selena Gomez or Ayo Edebiri. Um, but yeah, Gene Smart, like I said, no surprise there from anybody.
Got it. Yeah. Jenna
Next,
Ortega is Wednesday came out quite a while ago, didn't it?
it came out I think towards the beginning of the year, so
Maybe
yeah.
maybe just too long ago or
To,
now?
to uh she does well, but I think compared to some of these other actresses, they put a lot more. But like what Jenna Ortega does to bring Wednesday Addams, unique. I don't think many people could do what she does for this show.
Got it.
So, like I say, it's outstanding, but it's just like I say, all these categories are so hard. I think, like
Yeah.
I say, if Jenna Ortega would have won, it would have been a big surprise, but nobody would think otherwise.
Got it. Yep.
Yeah. Next one, best performance by a male actor in television series drama. That one went to Noah Wiley. This is The Pit, the hospital show on HBO Max. That's who I had winning. Um, I like crossed my fingers that it was Diego Luna winning for Andor, a Star Wars movie or the Star Wars show.
Mhm.
But I Noah Wiley did amazing in The Pit. So another show that just started season two, was it Thursday? Last Thursday. So Thursday nights on HBO Max, season two. Like I say, we're not sponsored by HBO Max, but hey, watch you guys.
Yeah.
Give me a free subscription. I wouldn't mind
That'd be fantastic.
it.
Sponsor us, we'll watch. Loaded category.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, Adam Scott with Severance has
Mhm.
gotten a ton of talk as well. I agree with you. Diego Luna with Andor would have been fantastic. And then of course Mark Ruffalo, Gary Oldman, Sterling
Mhm.
Brown. Yep, big
Yeah.
names.
Great name. So it was a hard one. Best performance by a female actor in a television series drama. That went to Rhea Seehorn. Pluribus. I've heard a lot of great things. I have this on my queue to watch on Apple TV. So I'm curious to see it, but she's been winning everything in this category award season, so not surprised. Um, yeah, that's about all I have for that one.
Okay.
Um, then we'll go right here. Best television limited series, anthology series, motion picture made for television. This one went to Adolescence. Like I said, I think Adolescence pretty much swept all the categories that they were nominated for. So great show, but all our fault. If you guys haven't watched it on Peacock, I thought that was interesting. Might Some people might like it, some people may not. Michael Pena's in it, so I always like watching the things that Michael Pena's in.
Yeah.
Uh, Black Mirror, another very out of this world show. I've watched a few episodes, haven't seen it much, but great one. Um, The Girlfriend, Vera watched that one. She liked it a lot, so that one's a interesting one as well. So like I say, great shows to watch. If you guys haven't watched any of them, I do suggest t taking a look, giving the first two episodes a try, and if you don't like it, then move on.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Best television series, musical or comedy. That one went to the studio. Uh, Not surprised. Studio, like I say, for me, when I first saw the studio, I thought it was hilarious. Watched it every week when it released. Loved it. They're starting to start season two filming in a few weeks, he mentioned. So, if they're ever in the Ventura County area, if you guys need backups, extras, hit me up. I'm okay.
There you go.
I'm open to it. But great shows. Only Murderers in the Buildings. Nobody Wants This. That's a show on Netflix that I enjoy. I don't think a lot of people do. But a funny show in my opinion. Check it out. But yeah, that's those. The Bear, Hacks, Abbott Elementary are the other ones that were nominated.
Yeah. Yeah, I got my Apple TV Plus going. Haven't really focused much on that streaming service, but
Yeah,
yeah, now I need to watch the studio because
yeah,
it's a winner. Looks
yeah.
great.
It is. It's good. Best television series drama that went to The Pit. That's been sweeping as well for this category in the award seasons for TV. White Lotus was nominated. I think we did a little White Lotus segment when it first came out and it ended. I enjoyed it. Uh, Always very creative. Um, so if it, check it out. Like I said, I enjoyed it. Vera hit her, wasn't the biggest fan of this season, but she watched it. But I was a fan of it. I thought it was good, funny. Slow Horses. Severance is another one I've started watching, but I haven't been able to continue it. I want to finish the two seasons. I've heard great things about it, so I'm excited to get that one started. Pluribus is another one, and The Diplomat. So a lot of great drama shows.
Absolutely. Yeah, loaded category.
Yeah. Next, cinematic and box office achievement. This one went to Sinners. Big win for Sinners. I called Sinners here because they did so well in the theaters. I think they had
Hmm.
three different releases for Sinners when it came out. I think regular, and then it came out in IMAX, and then like I think like 44 millimeter or something. So made
Wow.
a lot of money. Um, Only other movie that I sort of thought could have dethroned Sinners was K-pop Demon Hunters because of what they did streaming wise on Netflix, because I think it's hit like close to the billions. But after that, like I say, if it wasn't Sinners, it would have been a snub for them.
Absolutely. Yeah, you definitely called that one. Another loaded category. But yeah,
Yeah.
Sinners made a lot of sense. Got so much attention in theaters.
Yeah. And then Best Original Song, Motion Picture, that one went to Golden. K-pop Demon Hunters. I think everybody listens to it. If you don't listen to it, stop lying. I know deep down inside it's in your stereo and you're bumping it when nobody's
Just own
around.
it.
Just own
Yeah,
it. I do. It's a great song. I think it's gonna win the Oscar. I don't think there's no way around it.
absolutely.
This next category, and this is where I have a few notes. Best original score for motion picture. That went to Ludwig Göransson. Um, Big win for him. Not only did he win again, but he's beating out legends like Hans Zimmer, Alexander Desplat, Johnny Greenwood. There's a lot of big names in this category, and Ludwig has been winning. I think the last two or 3 years, he's won a few Golden Globes and even Oscars. So really good for him. It says what level that he's operating as, making this sound for the music. But what really disappointed me about the Golden Globes is that they didn't air this one. This one they did during the commercial break.
Oh,
So you didn't hear his acceptance speech. You probably have to find it somewhere online. And I think what's disappointing is not including it because I think the scores of movies are such massive parts of the film. I think without a good score, it's gonna elevate your movie. If you have a bad score but an amazing movie, it's not gonna be great. Nobody's gonna want to watch your movie because the score isn't there. You know, the score for Inception.
yeah,
If that
Hans.
score, If that one wasn't that way, if it was something different, I don't think it would have hit the same and wouldn't be as memorable for someone like me, you know. That I love that movie. I watch it probably once every 3 months. So I think that's where it was sort of disappointing that the Golden Globes sort of took this away from showing it to us because he deserves to be recognized in front of everybody watching. Because like I say, scores are big parts of the movie. So I don't know what they were thinking, but he, Ludwig on his way to becoming one of the greats in composing and music for movies. So I'm excited to see what he does next.
Yeah, no, you brought up the example I was going to say with Hans Zimmer and Inception because you hear it, you know what it belongs to.
Yeah, yeah. So next best screenplay for a motion picture. This one went to Thomas Anderson, one battle after another. Um, I called it. I would have wanted to see Chloe Zhao for Hamnet or Ryan Coogler for Sinners. But I felt Paul Thomas Anderson, one battle after another, was just going to be pretty much sweeping the Golden Globes, and they pretty much did.
Yeah, yeah, no, you called that one for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, Coogler was certainly up
he's
there.
out there. Yeah. And then Best Director, Motion Pictures, usually the same people. This one as well, Paul Thomas Anderson picked him. Would have wished it was Coogler or Chloe Zhao. But like I said, the categories are so hard because, like I said, you have Ryan Coogler, Paul Thomas Anderson, Joachim Trier, Jafar Panahi, Guillermo del Toro, and then Chloe Zhao. Like I say, anybody that wins, Hamnet, Frankenstein, it was just an accident. Sentimental value, one battle after another, and Sinners. They're amazing. Like I say, it's hard to really be able to say who it would be.
Absolutely. Yeah, no,
Yeah. That's best director. Best performance by a male actor in supporting role in any motion picture. This one went to Stellan Skarsgård. So I think I have some notes for this one that I wrote. So I'm not surprised with Stellan Skarsgård. I think a few months ago I heard he was the favorite for Sentimental Value to win Best Supporting Role. Um, and like I say, I think even though in the Critics' Choice Awards, he lost to Jacob Elordi, Skarsgård was managed to pull this one out. And I think what really stood out for me from his acceptance speech was how thoughtful he was about the movie and just the cinema experience in itself. Because he did say the one thing that sort of resonated with me is like he said, hopefully you will see it in a cinema because they are an extinguished species now. That is magic. Cinema should be seen in cinemas. And I think it totally resonates with me because I love watching movies in movie theaters. I love going for that experience, and I think it is dying a little bit. And we talked about it somewhat last week of what Netflix might be trying to do, and it's a shame. So, great moment, great quote that I think is resonating with a lot of us movie fans, um, and just sort of showing how movie theaters so matter.
Stellan Skarsgård, not a big Netflix fan.
No, no, probably not. No,
At the
no,
moment, at
that
least.
I think there's not a lot of people that are Netflix fans at the moment with what's been
Yeah,
happening.
for sure.
Uh, but yeah, but like I said, this one I think when it comes down to the Oscars, it could go anyway. Jacob Elordi could win it. Sean Penn, Benicio del Toro, I think they're up there. Paul Mescal could be a sneaky win, and then Adam Sandler. You know, just for him to be there shows that his movies are getting a little different. He still makes his funny movies, but he's stepping into this other role, which I'm happy to see.
He has great range.
Yeah. Next one, best performance by a female actor in a supporting role in any motion picture. This one was also a big surprise. This one went to Tiana Taylor. Uh, was early in the night, her first Golden Globe ever, and a great surprise and snuck out with that award. She beat out my pick of Amy Madigan with Weapons and Gladys from Weapons. I thought it was going to be her. I really liked her performance, but Tiana Taylor did well in one battle after another. And you could tell she was completely caught off guard when she heard her name, how she reacted to it. saying she almost didn't even write a speech because she didn't think she'd win. Um, so I think it's just a very humbling speech and purposeful. She she was shocked with the win. I wasn't fully shocked, but I did think it was going to go to someone else. So kudos to her, and I think this is really going to make the Oscars a tough one.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Yeah, let's see what happens at the Oscars. But yeah, no, that's awesome. I agreed
Yeah.
with you with Amy just because that's the only movie I'd seen in this category. Um, but she was phenomenal with her role. But
Yeah.
yeah, Tiana Taylor, I gotta go watch that film now.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Next one, best performance by a male actor in motion picture, musical, or comedy. Um, this one went to
Timmy.
Timothy Chalamet. Um, Big win for him. He won the Critics' Choice. Um, I think it was great for him. Um, where is my notes with him? Did I already delete him? Oh no, right here. I think he could sweep award season because he won the Critics' Choice. He beat out, Clooney, Hawk, Jesse Plemons, Lee Bung Han, and Leo. Um, One of the standout moments from his acceptance speeches was when he said something personable about what keeps him grounded and something his dad told him. So he said, "My dad instilled in me a spirit of gratitude growing up. Always be grateful for what you have." And then he said, "I'd be lying if I didn't say say those moments didn't make this moment that much sweeter." And I think it resonates with a lot of us do that sometimes we don't get recognition, sometimes we don't win, but when we do, it just makes the moment sweeter because he was here last year and lost out in a lot of his awards. I think it was for portraying Billy Joel, was it? Or
I believe that's correct. Yeah, he was
yeah.
nominated for a lot.
Yeah. So, but losing out,
Yep.
and like I say, I think it's always hard for people to lose because you put so much into it. But I liked it. It showed his humble side, that it reminded us that he's always going to remember the values he had as a kid and something his father taught him. So shout out to Timmy
Mhm.
for winning.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, he's been everywhere.
Yeah,
Good
he's
for
been
him.
ever. Yeah, and then best performance by a female actor in a motion picture, musical, or comedy that went to Rose Byrne. I had her winning. I had it between her and Chase Infinity from one battle after another. Heard a lot about Rose's performance and If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. She was a favorite, I think, a few months ago when announcements went out, so not surprised. Uh, she was funny. She think Bobby Cannavale, I might be butchering his last name, but her husband, because he wasn't there, but he was at a reptile expo in New York because they just got a bearded
Mm,
dragon. So very funny. She's
kind of
funny.
worth it.
She's really funny too. If you've seen some of her comedic movies and Neighbors, she was funny in that.
Oh yeah,
Um,
it's
so
great.
shout out to her to be able to win this. But she beat out some big names: Kate Hudson, Emma Stone, Cynthia Erivo, Chase Infinity, and Amanda Seyfried.
Absolutely. Great. Reptile Expo's got to be great.
Yeah, yeah. Must have been an expensive bearded dragon if he had to go to that expo.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Like great colors.
Yeah. So this next one, best performance by a male actor in motion picture drama. This was one of my big upsets of the night. For me, with Timothy Chalamet just not competing in this category because this is drama, he was in comedy. I genuinely thought Michael B. Jordan was going to take this. I thought it was his to it was pretty much his. I didn't think he was even going to lose it. I think a few days during last week, I did hear leading up to this that Wagner Moura was making a bit of a late climb, and I've heard a lot of great things about his performance. So this win didn't fully come from a surprise, but still, for me, going into last night, I felt I was on the Michael B. Jordan momentum. So Big snub in my book, but at the same time, it's hard to be mad about it because, Wagner did great. I really loved how Michael B. Jordan just handled it with total grace. Clapping, excited for Wagner Moore to win. Nothing but gratitude for this nomination, and just a very professional person and actor. Um, and I think these are the moments of the Golden Globes, Oscars, all these award seasons that we always sometimes come to a disagreement of the outcomes, but we always have to acknowledge all the competition performances and appreciate just how it came out. Because Wagner Moura, it was Wagner Moura, Oscar Isaac, Michael B. Jordan, Joel Edgerton, Jeremy Allen White, and Dwayne Johnson. A lot of big names, so
Oh yeah.
shout out to hymns. Unfortunate for Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah, unfortunate for Michael B. Jordan. I think Wagner Moura is probably like the only name I don't know in that category.
I think I remember I told you last week he played Pablo Escobar in
Oh,
Narcos and
duh.
Netflix.
Yes, you're totally right. Yep. Yeah, because in his photo that he has here on the Golden Globes website, trimmed
Oh
compared to
yeah,
when he
yeah.
played.
No
Yeah,
no belly.
not even close. Yeah. So yeah, in shape versus got to play Pablo.
Yeah,
He was great in that series. So I yeah, I can imagine why he won. But
yeah,
yep, it seems like it would be a snub with Michael B. Jordan Sinners. I agree.
yeah. Next, best performance by a female actor in a motion picture drama. This was Jessie Buckley. I think I've been calling this for months since I watched Hamnet. She won it. Nothing against anybody else, but I think her performance, even though I haven't seen any of their other performances, I think what Jessie Buckley did was just so moving in Hamnet. Like I say, if you guys get to watch it, I still owe Chloe Zhao my bill for therapy because it was a very emotional movie. So
Oh
she
man.
needs to pay for some of my sessions that I've gone through. I've told her I can't watch that movie again because I'm just gonna have to go back to therapy after watching it.
Yeah.
But amazing movie.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, the way you rave about it,
Yeah.
it sounds incredible.
Yeah. So, last three. Best motion picture non-English language. That went to The Secret Agent. That was the Brazil movie. That's the one with Wagner Moura.
Mhm.
It was between that and Sentimental Value, I think, leading up to this, the top two candidates. So, um, the way it's going, it looks like Secret Agent may win the Oscars in March, but some of these movies, Sentimental Value, I think, can still make a push. Um, so we'll sort of see what happens.
Mhm.
Then motion picture animated. That one went to K-pop Demon Hunters. No question about it. Vera was a little disappointed Zootopia 2 didn't win it, but she also knows K-pop was just out of this world.
Yep. Yeah, I can see why. Still haven't seen Zootopia 2, heard phenomenal things. But yeah, I just think anybody who takes a look at a category with K-pop Demon Hunters
Yeah.
is gonna think it's gonna compete.
Yeah, it's a little hard, so uh best motion picture musical or comedy. This one went to, of course, one battle after
There you
another.
go, Leo.
No surprise. Big win for them this night, and it's gonna go into the Oscars. Uh, and then the last category, and also I think my second biggest snub, or it's between that and Michael Jordan for second. It could be vice versa. Best motion picture drama went to Hamnet, and what I will say, I can't call it fully a snub because I think it was very close. I've said it in the post when I was going through my Golden Globe predictions. I enjoyed Hamnet a lot more than Sinners. I loved Sinners. I think it's an amazing movie. What Ryan Coogler did with that movie, phenomenal. But I just enjoyed Hamnet. I don't know if it's just recency bias or just how deeply I really connected to it, being a dad now and just a story about it. But it's the one that's really has stayed with me for a long time. But like I said, what Sinners did as a film accomplished many great things. Box office numbers, cultural impact, the hype. Um, Fidel, I think, doesn't go to the movie theaters a lot. He said we went to the movie theaters for this. If he went to the movie theaters for this, it was a great movie.
Hmm.
So I really thought because one battle after another was in a different category, I wanted Hamnet to win. I picked Sinners though. I'm happy Hamnet won. Disappointed a little bit in Sinners. Uh, but you could see in the room, everybody was surprised with this win. If you look at Chloe Zhao when it was announced she won, she couldn't believe that she won. Her face was just in shock. I don't think she thought she was going to win. And then when she walked up and she was going to talk, you could see her looking directly at Ryan Coogler because she probably feels really bad for him because she felt that his movie probably was going to win this or should have won this. Um, so it's one of the moments that no one saw coming. And like I said, I think looking ahead, Oscars, it's gonna be a three-headed race for me. Hamnet, Sinners, and one battle after another. I think one battle after another will take this. And then I think my last few things, because I don't know why I was just so passionate with how this went out. It
Hmm.
was crazy. But like for Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan, I think some of the thoughts I've had is, we could argue that they were snubbed at this award show. But if you've been watching award shows for many years and not just this one year because they're in it, you know that sometimes it's just going to go this way. I think when Best Picture was given to The Hurt Locker, everybody thought it was going to go to Avatar that year, James Cameron, but it went to The Hurt Locker. And Hurt Locker is an amazing movie. Avatar is an amazing movie. I still watch Avatar yearly. So every nominee in all these categories did amazing, incredible work, and they all probably deserve the nominations and even the Oscar, but it's impossible to predict. Um, Ryan Coogler, I see him coming back. And I know he will win in within the next few years. His films are always emotional, they're groundbreaking, and they're just cinematic experiences. Fruitville Station, I don't know if you ever saw that one that he made.
Parts, I definitely know what it's about.
Yeah, so that one, that movie, honestly, when I saw it, phenomenal. I am a little hurt that it was never nominated for a Golden Globe or Oscar. Um, and he also made Black Panther, which, if you look at what Black Panther did, is one of the first superhero films to ever be nominated for a Best Picture, which is historical. So that shows the type of work Ryan Coogler's done and going to continue doing. And then Michael B. Jordan, that guy's still young in this movie business. He's going to continue to grow with every role. We're going to continue to see him give powerful performances, and his performances are so unforgettable that if he never wins, it's okay because we're all going to remember everything he does for the rest of our lives, and that's more than an award. So, uh, they're both going to be succeeding in the future, and they're going to do something special either together, separately, and we're going to be talking about everything they've done in their list of work for a lifetime. So I hope they take it that way. I know deep down inside they're probably pissed off a bit, but I think it's going to motivate them to do amazing work in the future.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I mean, I'm looking here at Ryan Coogler. He's only 39. He directed Creed
Hmm.
when he was only 29, and
Yeah.
Fruitvale Station when he was 27, Black Panther when he's barely over 30. Like his work up to this point, being as young as 39, is incredible.
Yeah.
He's got a hell of a career ahead of him. So, which is exciting for all of us, you know, fans of his work.
Hmm. Yeah. So biggest snub, but like I say, great awards. Like I said, that's why I enjoy watching it because I'm a movie fan. I enjoy going to cinemas, watching this. I try to watch as much as I can. I think I've watched quite a few this year. I'm gonna try to check out quite a few more of these before the Oscars in March, early March. So to have a better idea and maybe give a different thought on my feelings. But that's the Golden Globes.
Love it. Yeah, I got to do some homework, but got to catch up.
Yeah. but it's all right. Like I say, I missed out on quite a bit. So if you would have picked differently, you could have
There
outscored
we
me.
go.
So like I say, it's always
Uh-huh.
a toss up. Um,
Absolutely.
but yeah, but that's today's episode. As always, to everybody, thank you for listening, bantering with us, hearing us yap, talk. Your support just keeps this thing going, moving every week. And as always, just, please hit that follow, subscribe button so you always get alerts of new episodes, new clips. We do throw out these segments separately, every few days. Just if you just want to watch certain segments. And as always, jump into those comments, banter with us, tell us what you think of our takes, our thoughts, feedback, and your takes as well. We enjoy the conversations.
Absolutely. Yeah. Continue to banter with us all. Thank you so much for watching, listening. Your input on a daily, weekly basis. We'll continue to put out the content there. Want to be a guest, have any topics for us to discuss, don't hesitate. All it takes is you guys to reach out and, we'll welcome everybody with, open arms. So,
Yep.
thank you again, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, we'll see you guys next time. And yeah, this is Banter on the Rocks.
Peace.